Coming to you from the Main Street Station Depot here in Richmond, Virginia for a special edition of our show. We're broadcasting live from the Virginia Democrats, their Commonwealth Gala, of course. This is a huge election year. So many people focus on 2028, 2026. They're overlooking the state elections in 2025. You also got mayoral elections. Over the next 3 hours, we'll be talking with a number of top Democrats in this state, but also there are people who are coming from across the country who will be here as well. The nation will be looking at Virginia to see how it will respond. Can Democrats have a trifecta in this state? Right now, they can control the House and the Senate, but what about a trifecta? We'll be talking to folks about that. And also about, of course, the state of the Democratic Party in this state, but also nationally. Lots to discuss. Folks, it is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. On the Black Side Network, let's go. Well, that was flickering green. What was up with that? Okay. Yeah, I saw. So it happened like 2 or 3 times. Anyway, you come to this shot right here. You come out to this wide shot. Got it. Folks, we're here broadcasting live in Richmond, Virginia, where Democrats across this state will be assembling here for their Blue Commonwealth Gala. It is a massive fundraiser for the Democratic Party in Virginia, but it is also is a huge year where not only will Virginia Democrats be here, but also Democrats from across the country. We expect Ken Martin, the Democratic National Committee chair, to be here, as well as other national Democrats. Because this is an election year in this state. Democrats want to have a trifecta here. Right now, they control the House, they control the Senate, but they do not control the governor's mansion. Glenn Youngkin is the governor of Virginia. And so you have 2 different candidates, a former member of Congress who's running against Abigail Spanberger, who's running against the current lieutenant governor, Winsome Sears, so who is a black MAGA Trump-loving person. And so it's going to be a showdown here. But not only looking at that race, but looking at the other races as well. You've got lieutenant governor, you've got attorney general, you got all of those races. And so people will be watching to what happens in this state. When you look at the special elections that have been taking place across the country, Democrats have had some success. But nationally, their ratings are in the toilet. People say that they are confused, not sure how to respond. But Donald Trump, you've got ICE doing what they're doing when it comes to deportations, the issue of immigration. You've got the economy, all sorts of major issues. And so what happens in this state could very well be the blueprint for Democrats across the country. Now, you have state elections. Okay, you just recently saw the primary in New Jersey, but you also have mayoral elections, big elections for mayor in Detroit, New York City, New Orleans. And so we're watching all of those races. But again, when it comes to national politics, how Virginia goes, often that's how the nation goes. And could this state give us an indication of how Democrats will respond in 2026, where their aim is to take back either the U.S. House or the U.S. Senate with Donald Trump sitting in the White House? And so lots we want to talk about with a variety of guests we're going to have on the show tonight. We'll also be carrying the various speeches live when the gala starts. But right now, I want to go to the leader of the House of Delegates here in Virginia. So of course, like I said, they control the House. Now, we often talk about my frat brother, Don Scott, being the Speaker of the House. But guess what? You still have a House Majority Leader, and that is Charnel Herring, and she joins me right now. I'm glad to have you here. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing good. So first of all, for people who don't understand what's happening here, you have slim majorities in the House and the Senate.
That is correct.
Explain how slim.
How slim. In the House, we have a 1-seat majority. The same with the Senate. But the House is up this year. So all 100 seats are up. and we're looking to keep our majority, but also expand it. And we have a good opportunity this year.
Now, of course, we traveled the state, had about 5 town halls in a couple of years ago.
Yes.
That led to Democrats winning the House. That was obviously huge because for African Americans, it's a whole different thing here to be in a state where you have an African American, Louise Lucas, who controls the money in the Senate. You got House Speaker Don Scott in the House. You're the majority leader.
Yes.
Of course, you do have a black MAGA Republican, Winsome Sears, who's lieutenant governor. You don't see that in many states, African Americans occupying those top positions in state government.
That's very true. We are the first. I'm the first black majority leader ever in the Commonwealth, and so this is a unique time. There's been great leadership, though, and it's not, yes, we're black, but we've had a strong economy under our leadership, and we've made strides to improve our school system, which has been a big issue. And our Speaker Scott and President Pro Tem Lucas led on that issue, and I'm so proud of the work that we've done.
We talk about an agenda. One of the things that we're always talking about is how do you connect with people? How do you get someone, first of all, informed, educated, and enlightened about what you've accomplished, right, and then get them to register if they're not already registered, and then get them to vote. And so how are you telling your story? Because that's one of the greatest criticisms that people have of Democrats, passing legislation but not knowing how to sell it after it's done.
All right. So we have to meet people where they are. We have to hit the doors. It's got to be a strong ground game. And so our candidates are out knocking doors, talking about the accomplishments of the Democrats, but also what more work needs to be done. And also listening to people at the doors and what's happening with them. I will tell you, for me in Northern Virginia, people are hurt by what's happened with DOJ. They are hurting. Losing their jobs, and not only people who are employed in the federal government, but contractors as well. People who have sent their careers, their lives, and helping provide aid for people around the world. And now they're in a situation where economic insecurity is happening.
So let me give some, again, folks who don't necessarily understand the context. And that is, when you talk about Washington, D.C., you're talking about the DMV. You're talking about Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Maryland. And so the chaos of Elon Musk and Donald Trump, the slashing they've been doing of contracts, of jobs, has had a profound impact on the economy of Virginia and Maryland.
Absolutely. Not only Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads region, which is, heavy with military and also with providing support for our armed forces. So, it's had an impact. We have a special committee in the House who's been meeting across the Commonwealth, and we may have to come back in the fall and readjust our budget. But I want people to know that Democrats, we care, we understand, and we're listening to people and trying to fashion things that will help them through this hard time.
How are you messaging that? Because, again, you take a Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, you take the other candidates, they are trying to wed themselves to Donald Trump and MAGA, but the problem that MAGA is causing, that's having a negative impact on this state. Not only folks losing contracts, but you've seen an explosion of people putting their homes up for sale because their pocketbooks have been greatly impacted.
Right. And so we point out the differences between us and Republicans, but what voters want to hear about is, okay, what happens next? We want to make sure that people are voting. I prefer that people vote Democrat, but you know what? I want everyone to be registered to vote, that if they're eligible, and vote. We have 3 constitutional amendments that are all at stake. If we get the majority, we'll be able to pass a constitutional amendment that recognizes finally in Virginia a fundamental right to vote. That's very important.
Now, what are the other 2 constitutional amendments?
The other 2 is one I'm carrying, which is on reproductive health, to make sure that we're protecting everything from contraception to IVF, abortion, as well as the other constitutional amendment is marriage equality.
Now, one of the things that has been a huge issue in this state and other places as well is the issue of the right to vote for formerly incarcerated folks. How will that constitutional amendment deal with that?
It recognizes, first of all, a fundamental right to vote, and that once a person serves their sentence, they're automatically entitled to vote again and it's called their civil rights. It's voting rights, ability to be a notary, and the ability to serve on a jury. And so that is what will happen. It will no longer go through the governor.
Right.
Which we know this governor has set on his hand for most of the time.
And so when you talk about going through the governor here has to sign each individual right to vote.
Exactly.
But also the constitutional amendment, explain what happened. It had to first go through the legislature first.
Right.
To get on the ballot.
That is correct. We have to do it twice. So we have to pass it, which we did this year. There's an intervening election, and then we have to pass it in the same form again. And then hopefully next year it will be on the ballot for voters to find out.
And that has to happen in the same year?
It will happen in the same year.
Right. What I'm saying is, so
yes.
you have to pass it in the legislature first, in the General Assembly first.
Right, which we did.
And then it has to go to the voters in the same year, which will happen in November. And if they pass it in November, then when the new General Assembly meets, is it then ratified?
It is, right, exactly. So we passed it once, intervene in election this November. We keep our majority. We'll pass it again. It will finally go to voters in November 2026. And then
wait, hold on.
Yeah,
hold on.
yeah.
Hold on. So again, that's what. Okay,
it's a Virginia way.
So wait a minute. So you pass it, then they vote this November on the Constitution?
No.
Like what?
So in Virginia, you have to pass it twice with the intervening election.
What does that mean?
That means that this is the will of the legislature. This is the will of the people. So it passed once this year. We'll have our election. It passed in January.
With the General Assembly in January.
Right. We'll have our election in November. And then we got to do it again with no changes, exactly the same. Pass it one more time in the legislature. Then it's eligible to go to the ballot. Then voters can have their say.
So the three constitutional amendments are not on the ballot this year.
That is correct.
But whoever wins will then control.
Exactly.
So you have to see, that's crazy that you literally have to pass it in consecutive years, and that's weird.
That's old time, part of our old Constitution.
That's crazy.
From way back. Well, that's Virginia, but you know what? We're going to play within our rules, and we're going to get it done.
So again, for people, how's the November matter? So if Democrats control the House and the Senate, then if you control the House and the Senate after November,
yes.
So when you come back in January, y'all have to vote again, and then you have to put it on the ballot in 2026 to go statewide for the voters to affirm that decision or deny it.
That's correct. That's it.
And so then, if they then say yes, then that then gets ratified and becomes state law.
Right.
So those folks who right now who are disenfranchised,
right.
They will be eligible to vote in the legislative election in 27, or the presidential election in 2028.
Right. As long as they serve their sentence, they will be automatically eligible to vote.
And how many folks are we talking in this state? Do y'all believe who are impacted?
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
I mean, it's certainly more than 1,000.
It's more than 100,000 because I remember when Terry McCullough was governor, he tried to do
right.
A mass deal.
And that's
got
right.
sued, and Republicans said no, it has to be
one by one. Right? Silly, isn't that silly? When people have served their time, there's redemption should not be partisan. Right. And I will say this, the good news is that there are some people who crossed the aisle who did vote for restoration, but very few.
Right.
It should not be a partisan issue, something so fundamental. They're coming after voting rights, and let's be clear, we want to protect voting rights for everybody. Everybody.
All right, then. Well, look, we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's going to be a big night, lots of folks. So it's going to be a busy night at the podium.
Yeah.
I saw the rundown, so there's a whole bunch of folks who are speaking. So
it's be exciting.
Look forward to hearing from them. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, folks. As you heard, the House Majority Leader say, again, we always talk about elections have consequences, and understand who then wins these individual races then determines who controls the House as well as the Senate. And like I said, we were here 2 years ago, and we travel around to various places. In fact, we're gonna later in the show, we're gonna show y'all some of that, where we were in churches, we were in places talking to folks who were running, individuals who were stepping out there, folks who were making the case. In some of those races, they lost by less than 200 votes. And so when we make the point that every vote counts, we kind of actually mean that every vote counts. And so, unfortunately, there are people out there who love to say certain things, who love to, who will say, well, your vote really doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, anybody that says your vote doesn't matter is an absolute liar. Again, they are a liar. In this state, it was just a few years ago, it literally was a tie in an election. They were tied. And the fate of who controlled that chamber was decided by pulling a name out of a hat. Okay, I'm not making this up, y'all. That literally happened here in Virginia. There was a I think it was a Senate race, and it was a tie election. Both candidates tied with the number of votes. The person who won name was drawn out of a hat, and that seat determined who controlled that particular chamber, whether it was Democrats or Republicans. And what happened was the Republican name was drawn, and they controlled that chamber for the next 2 years. And so folks need to understand that these elections, they do matter. The issues matter, and what gets taken up matter. And so we're going to keep emphasizing that constantly, because too many people act like it does not. Right now, Luke Torian joins us, a member of the Virginia House of Delegates. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Let's talk about this dinner. Obviously, when it comes to politics, if you don't have the resources, it's hard to compete. You've got super PACs. You've got billionaire donors dumping massive amounts of money in it. And so why is it important for Democrats in this state to convene for a gala like this, not only to raise money, but also to establish a clear, consistent message?
I think it's important for Democrats to gather at a gathering like this so that we can raise money, so that we also can do some networking, because we have a very big election coming up in November, and the networking that's done here tonight will serve volumes towards our victory in November.
One of the things that you just heard me talk about, every vote does matter. And again, we were here a couple of years ago traveling with now Speaker Scott. And there were a couple of folks who lost by very few votes, less than a couple of hundred. And so when you start looking at precincts, I mean, literally 2, 3, 4, 5 votes in one precinct multiplied by 20, 30, 40, 50 can decide the entire election.
Absolutely. And what we try to share with the citizens here in the Commonwealth, we know that folks are concerned about what happens in Washington, D.C., but Virginia, what happens in Virginia controls their quality of life here. And so it's extremely important that we emphasize to every citizen that their vote matters, their vote counts, because the ones who control the General Assembly, the House, and the Senate really impacts the laws that are passed here in the Commonwealth.
Absolutely. Now, what part of Virginia do you represent?
I represent the 24th House District, Prince William County, just south of Washington, D.C.
How has your district been impacted by the craziness of that orange idiot in the Oval Office?
My district has been impacted by the fact that we have quite a few federal employees that have been displaced, and that is of great concern to us.
And as I was just talking with the House Majority Leader, it's not just federal employees, it's contractors. It's the families of folks that work for companies that get government contracts. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people really don't understand when you start talking about just the trickle-down impact. It is far-reaching, and we're talking about in the millions and billions of a state's economy when you look at what's happening with these cuts that are just being done no rhyme or reason.
Well, Roland, the thing that is very concerning to me, we can have a household where husband and wife both are federal employees.
Yes.
And when they lose their jobs, they can no longer pay their mortgage. They have kids in college that are being impacted. It is very devastating, and you're absolutely correct. You have contractors that are impacted by it as well. And so what we have seen in Washington, D.C. has been a deterioration of many, many families.
One of the things that we keep talking about, you look at the polling data, how people are looking at Democrats in national polling. And a lot of folks say they want to see Democrats fight. They want to see them being tougher. They want to see them doing more. What would you say in terms of how party leaders, how individual members, whether in this state or others, how should they be talking to voters about things that matter?
I think what we should be doing is letting the voters talk to us about the things that matter to them, and then it's incumbent upon us to act upon the concerns that they have shared with us. Part of the problem that we have is that we do not, in some instances, we do not encourage the voters to speak to us about what their concerns are, and we try to share with them what we believe to be their concerns. But let them speak to us, and then we go as legislators and act upon that.
All right, then. Representative Torian, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Look forward to tonight.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, folks. We're going to be talking to a lot more folks tonight, so we look forward to you sticking around with us. And so we are here in Richmond, Virginia, for the Virginia Democrats Blue Commonwealth Gala. As I said, you're going to have all of the top Democrats in this state, but also folks around the country who are going to be speaking. So we're going to be doing a lot more interviews, talk with various folks. And so we're going to go to a break right here. This special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, live in Richmond, Virginia. We'll be right back.
Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. Dexter Jenkins is a faith-based financial mentor with more than 20 years in the financial services industry. He's passionate about helping families build generational wealth.
Even though I'm talking about things like prayer, I'm talking about things about reading the word, I'm talking about things like fellowship, I'm talking to members who are dealing with losing their houses, or I'm talking to members who, because of a lack of the handling their finances, they're working 2 and 3 jobs. And so what I'm finding is that they're not coming to church because they don't have a handle on their finances.
We're talking how to get wealthy through faith and our finances on the next Get Wealthy, right here, only on Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking faith, family, and fatherhood, from rebellion to rebuilding. Each of us has different things in our toolkit that we need to look at to determine how to establish a way forward. I know going forward is not easy, and most of you, like some people, don't like change. But as we talk about it, we grow together, we love together, we live together, and we laugh together. It gives us an opportunity to discover how to set the pace for what comes next for a healthy, happy, and whole life.
There has to be consistency in their lives that show that you care, for them to know that you're listening, and then that builds trust. And then once you build the trust, they'll begin to open up because you have become their safe place that they have been seeking.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change, Juneteenth.
It's a day about blackness. It's a day about freedom. It's also a day about talking about justice delayed. And we are not in the business of justice being denied to us. So stick around. We're going to talk all about the case for reparations.
The push for reparations is not just an economic project. It's a moral project. So if we want to live up to the ideals of this foundation, then reparations has to be something that we pursue.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. A very different take on Juneteenth with the one and only Dr. Sunyata Ahmed. We'll explore the amazing foods, remedies, and rituals that are a part of our history and the Juneteenth holiday.
So it's our responsibility to return the healthier version to our folks instead of just the red liqueurs marketed to us, the red sodas and the other things. I mean, why does the Kool-Aid man have to sound like Louis Armstrong? He's like, oh yeah,
yeah, right. An enlightening and tasty hour of the Black Table only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
On the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to Richmond, Virginia, our special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered here for the Virginia Democrats Blue Commonwealth Gala. Senator Mamie Locke joins us right now. How's it going? First and foremost, how long have you been in office?
I have been in office for 21 years.
21 years.
Yes.
And when we talked about before where this state is, slim majority, and explain for folks from a policy standpoint what the difference has been with Democrats controlling the Senate here in Virginia.
The difference has been that we've been able to put together an agenda that has worked well for our citizens in our districts because we put together that agenda ahead of time and put together a policy agenda that works well. And we put together priorities. And we work with our House colleagues to determine what those priorities are going to be in advance so that we can work them through both the House and the Senate. And sometimes knowing in advance that the governor may veto some of those pieces of legislation, but we prioritize what we think is going to work.
Like what? Like what specifically?
This past session, specifically, we wanted to remove what was considered to be the cap on support staff in education that had been in place for nearly 15 years. And so we did that through the budget. And so that was the number one priority for both the House and the Senate. And so we did that through the budget. The governor came back with a line item veto on that and reduced it from $220 million to $85 million. And we came back during the reconvened session and said, no, sir, that was our priority for both the House and the Senate, and we're not going to allow you to remove our number one priority. So we rejected what he had done and put it right back in.
You know, one of the things that again, that's why I said, specifically, because so many people really don't understand politics. I was in Columbus, Ohio last week. I was in Memphis this week, Memphis Thursday, Memphis last week, St. Louis on Thursday, Charleston, West Virginia on the previous day. And I'm always trying to explain to people that those of us who know can't assume that people know. That we literally have to walk folks through how these things happen, because folks are like, yo, you're not doing this here. Well, there's a process here. It's not just one vote. I mean, it's a whole process here. And so, how should Democrats, not just in this state, but nationally, how should they be talking to people? Because that's all I keep hearing from folks is that they say, Democrats not doing this, not doing that. And then you go, well, that did this. People are like, really? I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. What we did was between the end of the session and coming back for the reconvene session, we actually went back into our communities and said, okay, this is exactly what we did in terms of budget priorities, because a lot of stuff went through the budget. And we did the support cap, we did teacher raises, the governor had put in some things for vouchers and everything else. We told folks, we beat that back. We put in money for folks to get a rebate. And the governor wanted to do what he called the car tax. We said, no, we're actually going to put that money back and give it back to the taxpayer. And so we actually went back into the community and said, okay, this is what we did with that money that he said that he was going to do this. This is what we did. And when we got when he returned the budget back with his 200 plus amendments that had been actually undid what we had done, we did a few things ahead of time to say, okay, folks, this is what he did to undo what we had put into the budget. We are going to say to him, no, you are not going to unravel a budget that we collaboratively worked on with the House and the Senate. And for the very first time in the Senate, we actually had a 38-2 vote on the budget. That was a first for us, because it was usually always a party line vote. But we had worked collaboratively on that budget to get our folks on the other side to work with us on that budget. So when we came back and said this was a priority for all of us, it was a priority for those folks over in the rural areas. So we had worked with our people in our communities to say, we're going to go back and get your priorities.
What do you believe the focus should be for Virginia Democrats if they control the House and the Senate? What should they be? Well, first of all, let's say you win the governor's mansion. What should the focus be over that first year in 2026?
We should we have 3 constitutional amendments that are going forward, and getting amendments approved is very difficult in Virginia. So this is the second time around for those amendments. One of them is an automatic restoration of rights. So we have to get that amendment approved along with a woman's right to choose. That is a second amendment. And to get the archaic right to marriage out of the Constitution. Those are the 3 amendments that we have, but they have to be approved this second time around in order for the referendum to go on the ballot next fall. So those are 3 things that we have to get done. And we are monitoring what the federal government is doing right now. And we have 2, a Senate committee and a House committee monitoring what's going on at the federal level, so that if anything crazy happens, that was oxymoron. So when the crazy does happen, we will be ready to jump on it.
The crazy's already been happening.
Right. So when it happens, we will jump on it, so that if we have to go into special session to do something right away, we'll do it right away. We won't wait till 2026. We'll jump on it right away to fix whatever we need to fix right then.
All right, then. Well, Senator Locke, we appreciate it.
Okay.
I keep giving them hell.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Okay.
All right, folks, and somebody who is quite accustomed to giving them hell. She joins me right now, Senator Louise Lucas. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Roland. How
Well, first of all, you ain't got a boot on. You don't have to.
I got this knee fixed and I'm ready to go kick ass again.
So because like last time I saw you, you were little hobbled, but now you're ready to roll.
I'm ready to roll. You know, I had total knee replacement after keeping my foot up Glenn Youngkin's ass for about a year, and so now I'm all healed up and I'm ready to go back for some more.
You've been on him. You've been on him.
Somebody needs to stay on him because he is nothing but a Trump clone, and we don't need that in Virginia. We're not going to tolerate it in Virginia. He thought he was going to just swoon through here and steamroll us and just ride on off to the White House. But guess what? We showed him different.
I do love that photo when he was outside complaining when y'all shut down the arena, and you just stand over there just. And if the look of your face is, look, I'm from Houston. It's called, you had we call it a shit-eating grin look on your face. You were like, yeah, we showed your ass, didn't we?
Exactly, because see, when he decided that he was going to try to build that stadium, he talked to everybody except the person he needed to talk to. I'm Chair of Senate Finance and Appropriation. He could not get it through the Senate without coming through my committee. And I just did not hear the bill, so there it lay.
So I was in St. Louis Friday. I was in Memphis Thursday, both Juneteenth speeches. Last week, no, I'm sorry. I've been traveling so crazy. I was St. Louis Friday, Charleston, West Virginia on Thursday, Columbus, Ohio, Memphis last week, and I go to Syracuse, New York on Tuesday for the NAACP Freedom Dinner. And here, everywhere I go, I keep trying to tell people, if you're not having a money conversation, you're not having an American conversation.
You're not having a conversation.
And it drives me crazy. So I was at dinner, and they were talking about this agenda, and I literally said, what are your priorities? The guy was like, education. He was awesome. I said, no. And he was like, what? I said, number 1 is money. Number 2 is money. And number 3 is money. And it's hard to get people to understand that is the reality of politics. It's a money game.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I just so enjoy, even though it took us 400 years to get a black person who's going to be Chair of Senate Finance and Appropriation. I'm the first African American to hold that position. Did you know that? But what I have tried to do is to make sure that when the budget comes before us, that we're putting money in for HBCUs, make sure that we're making sure kids are able to get their health care. And can you believe it? Right now, we have these committees going all around the state to try to find out what the impact of the federal cuts are going to have on the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Right.
And we're trying to make sure that our kids are able to have a meal when they go to school.
Hold that microphone right in front of you. That way we
make sure the kids are able to eat when they go to school. And so with all of the craziness going on, we have to try to make sure we provide a safety net for the people of Virginia.
And see, and again, one, this is also where expertise comes in. And I understand people who say term limits. I understand where that comes from. But I also try to get people to understand that it takes a while to learn the ins and outs of how to do it. You've been a Virginia State Senator how long?
I've been in the Senate since 1992. And let me just tell you something. With all of the shenanigans that went on back in those days to try to make sure that I didn't get on Senate Finance and Appropriation, I outlived some people. Some folks retired, some died, and some fell by the wayside. This is a seniority-based system. And if you're not there long enough to be able to become chair of a committee, and especially of a money committee, then you've been there to help get some legislation passed, yes. But until you're able to get to where you can help cut that pie, I'm talking about the money now.
Right.
You're really not able to do a whole lot for your community. And see, now everything that comes through the Senate Finance and Appropriation Committee, I get to take a look at it, and I make sure that the folks who have been disproportionately left out, that they get their fair share of the pie.
Right, and that's the key. Again, it has to come through your committee.
My committee. And
so when I'm talking, so one of the things that I've been saying, I said this in all the different cities. I said that we got black folks in position of power. I said, I'm not celebrating a black face in the position.
Correct.
I'm focused on what are you doing with the power that you have.
Exactly.
And that's the key. I'm not here for the pictures, everything else. How are you using that authority while you're there?
Well, I can tell you, we have made historic investments in HBCUs over these last few years, more than we've ever had before, because we have a record number of members who are in the Legislative Black Caucus. The chair of House Appropriation is a Delegate Lutorian, Reverend Lutorian, and he and I work collaboratively together to try to make sure that HBCUs and other programs that have been left out get their fair share of that pie.
I remember talking to Congressman David Scott, and he told the story that when Ron Dellums, the late Ron Dellums, was in Congress, there was a white man from the South who said, Ron, I'm telling you right now, one thing guaranteed, a black person will never become chair of the House Agriculture Committee. Now, the average black person out there will be like, man, we ain't trying to be farmers. Not understanding the federal agriculture department is the second biggest budget.
That's exactly right.
Not understanding food stamp programs go through that. All sorts of other programs. That's not just about farms. And I'm always, and I've been telling people, I said, we've got to have, we got to have politics one-on-one. And I said, keep it simple. This is how city government works. This is how state government works. This is how county government works.
And
this is how the school board works. Because these are multi-billion-dollar entities.
Which is the reason why my being where I am right now is so consequential. Because first of all, we've never had a black person as chair of Senate Finance and Appropriation, and to also be President Pro Tem of the Senate at the same time. And just looking at the bench until we get to Senator Locke, we're going to be a long time getting a black person who's going to be chair of Senate Finance and Appropriation once I retire. So for all those folks out there saying, when is Louise going to retire? You better hope I stay there so I can continue to help cut that pie.
There you go. Well, Senator, you keep giving them hell. You're looking great in your cobalt blue. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you. And thanks for everything you do.
I appreciate it. And I always enjoy the wild videos you post, so I retweet those every time.
You'll see one next week.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Folks, again, you heard Senator Lucas there talk about the money. The money, why the money matters. Politics is all about the money. And so, again, when you try to walk folks through that, folk don't get it. And so, that's what politics is about. It is about the redistribution of resources. And what have you heard me say consistently? I've said consistently over and over and over and over and over. And that is, for African Americans, we have to be having a money conversation. We have to understand how the budget works, how these things operate. And that, to me, it just drives me crazy when people want to act like these things are not important, when in fact they are important. They are critically important, because you can't say, well, our community hasn't got anything if you don't understand how that particular process works. And so that's where we have to be all times. Michael Fagans is a member of the Virginia State delegate. Of course, a couple of years ago, we were traveling around. You were running for office, and now you're elected.
Yes, sir. It's good to see you, Brother Martin.
Yes, sir. And what have you done the last couple of years?
Work hard for the people every single day. We've been really focused making sure that we're taking our office and putting it out to the people. You know, for example, we have almost a quarterly healthcare event where we bring a mammogram bus into apartment complexes so women can get screenings. Having individuals come out so they can get signed up for the Affordable Care Act, you know, and doing as much as we can to make sure that our office is visible outside of just the four walls and really in the community.
Well, absolutely. And you heard me talking to Senator Lucas, that we're talking about the resources, and that's what it boils down to. When people say our community has not been served, that's because it's been historically underfunded.
Yeah.
And so having African Americans in leadership who understand that, and then who deliver the money, or that's all been politics is all about.
Yeah.
But how do you convey that, though? How do you speak to people so they can understand that?
So much of it is about making sure that you're having, you know, town halls. You're having we've almost had 6 town halls with individuals that are from our congressional delegation, our Senate, making sure that the people really understand, how the money works. How does the legislation start from a bill and become a reality? And then really being transparent about, where the work is happening. For example, we were able to work on a great initiative in the community to bring $500,000 back into Virginia Beach to be able to build facilities to treat victims of sexual trafficking, working to make sure that our teachers have the pay raises that they need, doing veteran and military family tax cuts. That's the type of work that our constituents are asking for, and we've been delivering over the past 2 years. For example, my office in itself has has passed about 13 pieces of legislation. So when people say their vote doesn't matter, it extremely matters. One of our bills was the first time a piece of legislation has passed like this to take care of veterans and military families. And so their vote matters so much.
No, it absolutely does. And so I just think that we have to continue to pound that, but not just tell people your vote matters. We have to show them what was done so they can understand this is why you're supposed to turn out.
Yes, it's so important just to show it, because, like you said, like, we just can't say go and vote. It's go and vote, and then hold your elected officials accountable. Ask them what are they doing quarterly with the legislation that they have, depending on where they're at. And when, like, for example, when we're out of our session, what are they doing past the legislative session? Are they really being involved there? Are they really for the people? It's really easy to see now because, we make sure to have a great social media presence. And so we're sharing videos, we're sharing pictures in the community. And that's the best way to really get the message out about the work that's being done, because there's so much work that can be done. But it's when you're able to elect officials like myself and the leadership that we have right now, you get to see the real results when you elect people who actually care and are about doing the work.
All right, then. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks, brother.
All right, thanks a lot.
Good to see you.
Folks, we're going to go to break. We're going to come back, talk to more leaders here at the Virginia Democrats Blue Commonwealth Gala right here in Richmond, Virginia, on the special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys. This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We're talking faith, family, and fatherhood from rebellion to rebuilding. Each of us has different things in our toolkit that we need to look at to determine how to establish a way forward. I know going forward is not easy, and most of you, like some people, don't like change. But as we talk about it, we grow together, we love together, we live together, and we laugh together. It gives us an opportunity to discover how to set the pace for what comes next for a healthy, happy, and whole life.
There has to be consistency in their lives that show that you care, for them to know that you're listening, and then that builds trust. And then once you build the trust, they'll begin to open up because you have become their safe place that they have been seeking.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change, Juneteenth.
The day about blackness. It's a day about freedom. It's also a day about talking about justice delayed. And we are not in the business of justice being delivered to us. So stick around, and we're going to talk all about the case for reparations.
The push for reparations is not just an economic project, it's a moral project. So if we want to live up to the ideals of this foundation, then reparations has to be something that we pursue.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. A very different take on Juneteenth with the one and only Dr. Sunyata Ahmed. We'll explore the amazing foods, remedies, and rituals that are a part of our history and the Juneteenth holiday.
So it's our responsibility to return the healthier version to our folks instead of just the red liqueurs marketed to us, the red sodas and the other things. I mean, why does the Kool-Aid man have to sound like Louis Armstrong? He's like, oh yeah,
yeah, right. An enlightening and tasty hour of the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
Virginia for the Virginia Democrats Blue Commonwealth Gala, big fundraiser. You see the room is filling up. This, of course, is the pre-event reception. Then you get more than 1,000 people behind that black curtain right there for the dinner. Lots of different major speakers we'll be hearing from party leaders in the state, but also across the country. As I said, this state, folks will be paying attention to the results because it will give us an indication of where voters are heading the 2026 midterm elections in a number of areas that we're going to be looking at. And obviously one of the issues that people really are focused on is what's happening with immigration in this country, what is going on with ICE, the detainees. You have responses from state attorneys general, but also DAs and others all across the country. My guest right now is Roland Martin. He is the Norfolk Commonwealth Attorney. Glad to have you here. First of all, what do you do? What is Norfolk Commonwealth Attorney? What does that mean?
Roland, it's a pleasure to be here. We do it different in Virginia. Everywhere else we'd be called the DA.
Right.
So I'm the prosecutor for the city of Norfolk. We got about 250,000 people, 40 prosecutors, and we're busy. And I'm the Chief Minister of Justice for our citizens.
One of the things that, the last decade or so, from a progressive standpoint, they've paid attention to DAs. For the longest in America, conservatives, it was about lock them up, throw the key away, long sentences, and then people begin to understand that if you want to attack criminal justice reform and mass incarceration, you don't go to Congress, you don't go to the governor, you don't actually go to the judges. It's the DA that is the most important person that determines probation, whether they get some other type of alternative sentencing.
Right, exactly right. We are the gatekeepers into the system, and because of what legislators did in the mass incarceration era with mandatory minimums, with the ability to treat children as adults, we are the ones who get to make decisions that tie the hands of judges. And that's why I, as a progressive prosecutor, and my progressive brethren around the country have been very vocal about the fact that the justice system has treated rich people and poor people, black people and white people, and connected and non-connected people differently, and that we have to do better. And that we now recognize that the mistakes that people made in the 1990s, whether it was super predators, mandatories, crack versus powder, that all of those things were wrong, and that we run on that. And that what we also do is, everybody says that you got to choose between public safety and your civil rights. We say that is absolutely false. That part of the reason the justice system doesn't work is because people don't trust it, because they know it's two-tiered. And then when we make it one-tiered and we roll back mandatories, treat children as children, we actually increase trust, and that increases safety because people cooperate with us instead of shooting it out in the streets.
You know, I think back, I'm born and raised in Texas, and when I think back to some of these cases where you had individuals, Clarence Brantley, who was almost executed twice for a crime he did not commit. When I think about so many other cases, and it was the actions of prosecutors, the actions of the DA, the withholding of evidence, things along those lines, and I have routinely said, just like I believe that if a police officer lies on a report, it should be automatic termination. I believe that if a prosecutor withholds evidence or is guilty of egregious conduct, that person should never be a lawyer again, because we're trusting that person literally controls whether somebody goes to prison for life or they don't get tried for something a crime they didn't commit.
That's right. And any prosecutor who cheats should be ashamed of themselves, because they are literally taking people's lives away. Every wrongful conviction is a sin. It is a crime against the accused, and it's a crime against the victim, because when you wrongfully convict one person, the real perpetrator is out there. Or if you cheat, then you're undermining the very values we have as Americans. And that's one of the things that we progressives really do, is we put, because 4,000 cases a year move through my office with 40 prosecutors. It's making sure that my prosecutors have the values, that they understand that playing fair and treating everybody with compassion, whether it's the victim or the accused, and treating everybody with honesty is the only way that we achieve justice.
We are watching right now on the federal level, folks literally being snatched off of streets. Individuals rolling up, mask, not showing ID, not showing warrants, and it's literally, trust us, it's us. And a lot of Democrats have been criticized because of some going to El Salvador. And I've said, no, due process is a fundamental constitutional right. And I don't give a damn if that person is a migrant or not. Black folks know America and its lack of due process. And we shouldn't just say, oh, well, they're legal immigrants, so really who gives a damn? No, because if they'll do it to them, they'll do it to one of us next.
Man, that was what I was about to say, is, in America, there's always an out group, and whoever the out group is, whether it's black people, whether it's Hispanic people, whether it's Muslims, whether it's gay people, people are like, well, I'm all right with them getting their rights trampled on. When you let the government get sloppy, they're coming for you next. Whoever you may be, they're coming for you next. And we have to respect everybody's rights, no matter how much we hate them, no matter how much they are guilty. We have to respect their rights, because that is the way the system works.
All right, then. Well, look, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And hopefully folk will understand that, again, they get to vote on the DA. They get to vote on it, and they got to actually maximize that vote. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Enjoy the dinner. Folks, I guess with that horn being blown, that's telling them it's time for them to end the reception and go into the dinner. We're going to be chatting with a number of other folks in a second, so we're going to go to a short break. We'll be right back on the special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. A very different take on Juneteenth with the one and only Dr. Sunyata Ahmed. We'll explore the amazing foods, remedies, and rituals that are a part of our history and the Juneteenth holiday.
So it's our responsibility to return the healthier version to our folks instead of just the red liqueurs marketed to us, the red sodas and the other things. I mean, why does the Kool-Aid man have to sound like Louis Armstrong? He's like, oh yeah!
Oh, yeah, right. An enlightening and tasty hour of the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change, Juneteenth.
It's a day about blackness. It's a day about freedom. It's also a day about talking about justice delayed. And we are not in the business of justice being denied to us. So stick around. We're going to talk all about the case for reparations.
The push for reparations is not just an economic project, it's a moral project. So if we want to live up to the ideals of this foundation, then reparations has to be something that we pursue.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking faith, family, and fatherhood from rebellion to rebuilding. Each of us has different things in our toolkit that we need to look at to determine how to establish a way forward. I know going forward is not easy, and most of you, like some people, don't like change. But as we talk about it, we grow together, we love together, we live together, and we laugh together. It gives us an opportunity to discover how to set the pace for what comes next for a healthy, happy, and whole life.
There has to be consistency in their lives that show that you care, for them to know that you're listening, and then that builds trust. And then once you build the trust, they'll begin to open up because you have become their safe place that they have been seeking.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys. This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Week on the other side of change, Juneteenth.
It's a day about blackness. It's a day about freedom. It's also a day about talking about justice delayed. And we are not in the business of justice being denied to us. So stick around. We're going to talk all about the case for reparations.
The push for reparations is not just an economic project, it's a moral project. So if we want to live up to the ideals of this foundation, then reparations has to be something that we pursue.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Dexter Jenkins is a faith-based financial mentor with more than 20 years in the financial services industry. He's passionate about helping families build generational wealth.
Even though I'm talking about things like prayer, I'm talking about things about reading the word, I'm talking about things like fellowship, I'm talking to members who are dealing with losing their houses, or I'm talking to members who, because of a lack of the handling their finances, they're working 2 and 3 jobs. And so what I'm finding is that they're not coming to church because they don't have a handle on their finances.
We're talking how to get wealthy through faith and our finances on the next Get Wealthy, right here, only on Black Star Network.
We're back, bigger and stronger than ever. Season 2 is reloading May 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
What's up?
Being a black man, we gotta stop letting this slide. With new hosts.
Let me tell you what damn time it is.
And big celebrity surprises.
Kiss my behind.
It's Oprah Winfrey. Subscribe today at Truth Talks Live. Give black people what they need, and we'll show them for you. And don't miss out on all the upcoming viral moments.
Simulcasting weeknights at 8 p.m. on Roland Martin Unfiltered and Black Star Network and Truth Talks Live.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
On the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys. This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
This is a live look at the main ballroom here in Richmond, Virginia, where the Virginia Democrats are holding their Blue Commonwealth Gala. So folks are making their way into the ballroom. The reception took place for about an hour to 90 minutes, and so this should be kicking off at 7 o'clock. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking to a wave of officials here, including the head of the Virginia Democratic Party, of course, House Speaker Don Scott, and so many others who are going to be here. We got some major speakers who are going to be here as well. This, of course, is a huge fundraiser for the party to run for office. It takes lots of money. And as we've been telling you, this state really, really is one that folks are paying attention to. Folks are looking at to determine how will voters be responding to messaging in November, but also in 2026. Nationally, the midterm elections are happening. Now, first and foremost, the midterm elections are not national elections. There's a series of state and local elections. So you're going to have a critical number of U.S. Senate seats that are going to be up for grabs. Then, of course, you have all of the House seats, all 435. Looking at the map, many expect Democrats will be continuing to take control of the U.S. House. The Senate is going to be a hell of a lot harder because a lot of the seats are in red states won by Donald Trump. And so that's what's happening. And so, again, what happens in Virginia, people really are paying attention to, really are focused on to see what happens. How will people vote? What are the issues people are going to be talking about? And one of the folks, of course, who wants to return to power is Virginia. Speaker of the House, Don Scott. Now, he became the first African-American to be Speaker of the House in Virginia. And that, of course, that's the one who controls what happens there. Earlier, we talked to Senator Louise Lucas, who controls the money in the Virginia Senate. And so politics is about power. Power is about money. Who controls the power and the money? Well, that's who folks listen to. And so joining us right now, Don Scott, my alpha brother, Texas A&M, Paul Macron. What's up, Doc? How you doing?
What's up, baby boy? Everything's good. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for this opportunity.
Absolutely. A lot of things happening. First and foremost, 2 years ago, you said, hey, need some help. Let's do these town halls. I was talking to one brother who ran. He said, man, I got to thank you. It made a huge difference in my election. He said the ad that he was trying to get out there, he didn't have much money, but being able to take advantage of it. But that was about talking directly to the people. Talk about how crucial that's going to be in November for this year.
Well, Roland, first of all, you were critical to us winning. We continue to invite you back. We're going to continue to have you involved. And it's not just you. It's all of those voices that are sometimes left out of the conversation. We need to make sure that we're talking to everybody and making sure that we get the message to everybody, because I think every person wants good health care. Everybody wants a good public school education. Everybody wants to make sure that we have safe schools, that we're free from gun violence, making sure that we have great jobs. Everybody wants safe streets. But we need to make sure that we're giving that attention to every person in Virginia. So we need people, trusted people like you and others, to come to Virginia, because this year is important. All of us on the ballot this year. You know, I became the first African-American speaker and sworn in January 2024 when we won in November 23. Thanks to you. You went all over the state helping us. I had to call in my frat brother. I had to hit the back channel and get Uncle Roro.
I had to lean on the shield.
Lean on the shield. Hey, I'm going to need a little discount this time. We ain't get no discount this time.
No. As Fat Joe said, yesterday's price is not today's price.
But it's so important that we stay focused, that we engage everybody and making sure that we get this turnout. All 100 seats in the House of Delegates are on the ballot this year. And so that means that, and for the first time and they told me in a generation, we're running a Democrat in every single House district. Every single House district.
Now, that's crazy because, look, if you don't, you're guaranteed not to win if you don't run.
Right.
And so I've never understood. Yeah, I get it. You may have some red districts, but if you're not giving folks an option, then you're just giving up.
Well, we have a lot of folks that have different strategies around where you deploy resources or not. And I think, Fergie Reed Jr., who's one of the folks who's been pushing this 90 for 9 for 90 or 99 for 9. I forgot what he called his organization. But he was pushing us all to take a look at why we're not pushing and recruiting candidates in other areas. And so he played a huge role in helping us out as well. And I always like to give credit to folks where we can. But I think it was a lot of voices that made sure that we did that. And I think this election, with all 100 seats on the ballot, is so crucial. With the governor, Abigail Spanberger, will be the next governor of Virginia. Take it from me. She will be hold on, let me look at the camera. Where's the camera? Which one I'm looking at?
You're right there.
Abigail Spanberger will be the next governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the first female governor in our history. So we're here making history in Virginia. She is more than qualified. Strong men ain't scared of strong women. strong men know how to communicate and work with strong women. And so I'm looking forward to working with the next governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, Ghazala Hashmi as our lieutenant governor candidate. She is great. And then we have the opportunity to elect the first African-American ever to be the Attorney General for the Commonwealth of Virginia, Jay Jones. So we are breaking ground here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I'm hoping that people from all over the country will get engaged. You can go to my website, www.donscott.com. Just go to donscott.com and you can go to spanberger.com. I see Governor Wes Moore is here. Frat 06 behind you. I'm sure you want to have a word with him. But we have an opportunity.
Now he's going to slide over here.
Come on over here.
You know he's going to slide over here. What's happening, sir?
Two great album, man.
That's right. Just go ahead and grab the microphone, slide over. Might as well have move that over. I know y'all adjust the camera. Move it over. Yeah, y'all adjust the camera. So if you're going to do this, you're going to have three alphas here. And so glad to have you. First of all, talk about why, again, for folks who don't understand politics, we look at governor, we look at president, stuff along those lines. How crucial having a Speaker of the House who can represent our folks' interests.
He's not just legendary, he's historic. We're talking about a historic leader that Virginia has, that it's not just that Virginia's proud of him, this whole country's proud of him. I mean, I'm the governor of Maryland, and I look to the speaker in Virginia, and I'm like, this brother is not only breaking glass ceilings, but he is leading in a way that is making each and every one of us proud. And one of the things I'm excited about being down here is we need to make sure that he has more Democrats inside of his legislature. Because right now, what people are saying, they understand the power of the presidency and all that kind of stuff. But, brother, what people have to remember is we know that. But what's the power of states? What's the power of speakers? What's the power of governors?
Well, the Republicans have been focused on states.
They've been focused on it.
While Democrats have kept focused on national.
There you go. This is a moment where we say, listen, we've got to be involved and engaged up and down the ballot all across the country. And so I'm here in Virginia because I want to make sure that this remarkable Speaker of the House they have, that he has more folks that he can work with to pass good legislation to get things across the finish line in the state of Virginia.
Both of you have to deal with what's happening in D.C. The massive cuts, the impact on federal workers, contractors, folks putting their homes up for sale, kids having been pulled out of college. That has been devastating for both of you. You first in Virginia, and we'll talk about Maryland. Go ahead.
Well, I think we have, hundreds of thousands of federal jobs here. That's from the defense sector to all other private sector that impacts the federal government. We have, one of the things we spend a lot of time talking about the impacts of federal cuts. We talking about people who are cutting Medicaid, people who will hurt our rural healthcare system. People hurt our urban healthcare infrastructure. We're talking about cutting off supplemental nutritional assistance programs, SNAP programs that feed our kids. And not only does it feed our kids, it keeps our farmers in business. So we're talking about a lot of impact that these folks are doing that they've hurt. Elon Musk, we're coming through with his chainsaw. He's hurt Virginia. He's hurt Maryland. And hopefully, the difference between Virginia and Maryland is they have a governor who understands that harm and is willing to deal with. We have a governor who's making excuses and enabling the foolishness that's coming out of D.C. right now.
Well, listen, the speaker's right. In Maryland, we have over 260,000 federal employees in my state. So when we see these atrocious cuts, and again, let's not forget who they're cutting, right? They're cutting people who are doing things like making sure that our food is safe. They're doing things like cutting people that are making sure that our critical infrastructure is protected. They're doing things like making sure that veterans who are suffering from PTSD can come home and actually get the medication that they need. That's who they're cutting in the name of efficiency. Right. So while they're doing all of these things, that's why it is so important having legislators, having governors, having people who are on the ground and who are going to say, we're going to make sure that our federal workers are protected. We're going to make sure that they're supported. And again, we're talking about people who have, in many cases, given up more lucrative jobs, given up more lucrative opportunities because they believe in public service. And we need to make sure we are standing up for those who are willing to raise their hand and serve the public.
Last question for both of you. I know because folks are grabbing both of you. First, I'll start with you and then end with the governor. The late Joe Madison, our dear brother, he always said you got to put it where the ghost can get it. And one of the greatest criticisms of Democrats is that Republicans use bumper stickers. Democrats come with a PhD thesis trying to explain stuff. Talk about how you want your candidates communicating with regular, ordinary folk and speaking in a language they can understand.
Well, what I've said to all of my candidates, because I went and we recruited a lot of great candidates. These are ordinary people doing extraordinary things. That's what's so great about this country. You know, as my governor, my frat was saying just now, there are veterans right now who've had their jobs cut. These are people who had raised their right hand to serve this country, went to work at the VA. And then these people, unceremoniously, they fired them. Didn't even tell them they came back and they couldn't get on the computer. These are people who had looked at working for the government as an extension of their service to this country. And now they've been cut off. Those people, we need to continue just to talk plain English to people. Everybody already knows, we're not getting another Barack Obama that comes in and make your stomach turn and your toes curl and yes, we can. Right. We're not getting that anymore. We need everyday, ordinary people to step up and lead. And I'm so grateful that we got Governor Moore here, who is a leader, who is a tremendous leader, who is an inspirational leader. And so I think we have an opportunity. If we listen and follow, we have an opportunity to win this election.
I tell you, the speaker hit the nail on the head. What we need to produce is results. It's not going to be about what's the slogan. It's not going to be about what's the tagline. Because the truth is, the Republicans will spend all day long telling you what's wrong. Mm-hmm. The Democrats have to spend all day long producing what's right. Mm-hmm. This is about results. And when we can show the results, that we are focusing on creating pathways for work, wages, and wealth for all of our people, then we are going to show that there is no reason to look elsewhere, because we are the party that's actually delivering the results to make people's lives actively better every single day.
All right. With that, we'll close.
And I want to say one last thing. We got to stop focusing on whether this dude getting an airplane from Qatar and none of that. We need to focus on the issues that matter to people, everyday kitchen table issues. Right. We stay focused on that, we'll win this next election and we'll win it big.
Follow this man. Follow this man.
Follow that man.
All right, well, so we're going to get a really important historic photo. We're going to get an alpha photo. So let's go ahead and throw the ice for all y'all out there. If you couldn't get in, it ain't my problem. All right, that's how we do it. Frat, I appreciate it.
That's the winning circle.
Yes, sir. Frat, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, folks. Appreciate it, baby. Good seeing you. All right, folks, we're going to go to a break. Great conversation there with Speaker Don Scott, Governor Wes Moore. You're watching the special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
With Dr. Jackie. We're talking faith, family, and fatherhood, from rebellion to rebuilding. Each of us has different things in our toolkit that we need to look at to determine how to establish a way forward. I know going forward is not easy, and most of you, like some people, don't like change. But as we talk about it, we grow together, we love together, we live together, and we laugh together. It gives us an opportunity to discover how to set the pace for what comes next for a healthy, happy, and whole life.
There has to be consistency in their lives that show that you care, for them to know that you're listening, and then that builds trust. And then once you build the trust, they'll begin to open up because you have become their safe place that they have been seeking.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
This week on the other side of change, Juneteenth.
It's a day about blackness. It's a day about freedom. It's also a day about talking about justice delayed. And we are not in the business of justice being denied to us. So stick around. We're going to talk all about the case for reparations.
The push for reparations is not just an economic project, it's a moral project. So if we want to live up to the ideals of this foundation, then reparations has to be something that we pursue.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
On the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. A very different take on Juneteenth with the one and only Dr. Sunyata Ahmed. We'll explore the amazing foods, remedies, and rituals that are a part of our history and the Juneteenth holiday.
So it's our responsibility to return the healthier version to our folks instead of just the red liqueurs marketed to us, the red sodas and the other things. I mean, why does the Kool-Aid man have to sound like Louis Armstrong? He's like, oh yeah!
Oh, yeah, all right. An enlightening and tasty hour of the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, welcome back to special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered. Virginia State Delegate Benita Anthony joins me right now. How's it going?
It's going well. How about you?
Busy, crazy year, election year. What are the voters saying to you they want you and others to focus on this state?
They want us to focus on health care. They want us to make sure that they are not losing out as far as the dollar, right? So families want to be able to take care of families. They want to make sure that they have health care. Lots of folks are caregivers. Medicaid is at the top of the ticket that they're worried about. SNAP benefits, being able to feed their families. Food insecurity is front line. So those are the things that people are worried about.
And that's a whole lot.
It's a whole lot.
But how do you convey to them in terms of what your role is and how first of all, one person can't actually make it happen. It's a collaborative process. And so how do you try to drill that home to the voter?
Well, we just let them know that Virginia is standing in the gap. The Speaker of the House, Don Scott, he formed an emergency committee on the federal impacts, federal reductions. I sit on that committee. We've been traveling across the Commonwealth, gathering information, gathering data. And we're just learning how we're going to backfill if collapse happens in D.C.
Well, first of all, we're already seeing how that's happening.
Right.
The impact on so many different workers, the job cuts, not only to federal workers, to contractors. It really has had a tremendous negative impact on this state economy.
Absolutely. Virginia is ground zero, especially for federal workers, especially when it comes to federal funding reductions. Every locality, every region in the Commonwealth is going to be impacted. Every sector, every industry. No one is secure.
All right, then. We'll sure to appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the dinner.
All right.
All right, folks. Of course, we're talking about what's happening in the state of Virginia. But let's talk about what's happening in Congress. Joining us right now is Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan. Of course, you know very well, of course, what happens in this state in terms of the General Assembly. But now you're in Congress. It has been quite a crazy, wild 6 months.
As I sat in the Capitol on Inauguration Day, on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, all I could hear was the question that he asked the final year of his life. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? And hours later, chaos was unleashed. And every time we turn around, more chaos is unleashed. And, I and the Congressional Black Caucus are still trying to focus on community. But we're having to fight chaos, and it's insane.
A lot of people, I hear this wherever I go. And again, the last 2 weeks I've been in 5-6 cities. And I hear people saying, Democrats should be doing more. CBC should be doing more. And so one of the things that I keep saying is, guys, when you're in the House, you don't have the same powers you in the Senate.
That's right.
So really, you're limited in what you can do.
Yeah, there are a couple of things in life that are certain, and one of them is math. And unfortunately, we, being in the minority, we need 4 Republicans to join us to do anything. And the Speaker has most of the power to control the agenda, to control what comes to the floor. And we can use when we're in hearings, we can use our 5 minutes to ask questions. We can do amendments. So when the big ugly bill came, you had over 100 Democrats introduce over 500 amendments. And the math wasn't with us to get them passed, but every single one of those amendments, we used our 5 minutes to tell the American people that they're trying to strip away your health care. They're trying to strip away your food benefits. They're trying to strip away Social Security. And so I think I'm equally as frustrated because the way the House is set up, we have very little power. But we do have a bully pulpit. We can talk to the American people about what's happening. We can meet people where they are. And I got to admit, that is harder than ever before because of the wide variety of places that people get their information. But we are doing that. We are trying to use our oversight ability. But when you've got members of Congress who are being arrested for doing that, we're doing everything within our power and trying to empower the American people to use their power to push back on what Republicans are doing.
Messaging is always a huge thing. When we look at polling, it is not good for your party. What is being talked about in terms of how to communicate what your agenda is? Not how awful they are, but really, if you got power back, what would you do with it? What are those conversations like?
Well, we are having those conversations about, look, when we were kids, everybody got their information from 3 TV stations, a morning and afternoon paper, and radio. And we recognize that's not enough anymore. We've got to, whether it's Reddit, whether it's podcasts, whether it's good old school door knocking, going into barbershops. I get my hair cut every 8 weeks. I got it cut this week. I talk to the people there, and going out into communities with town halls to meet people where they are with a very clear message of, we are working to give you access to affordable health care. We are working to make sure your children have the ability to have a better chance than you did. We are working to address the legacy of over 300 years of slavery and Jim Crow that has never been fully redressed in this country. We are working to make sure that we lower costs and that our tax code is fair. And no matter where I go, whether I talk to Democrats, Republicans, independents, urban, rural, or suburban, and I represent all three, everybody says to me, I want affordable health care. I want costs to go down. I want access to child care. And I want a good job that I know will allow me to pay my bills. And if we stick to the basics, now there are different reasons why different groups can't get that. But if we stick to the basics of what everybody deserves, in a clear, repetitive message, and we talk to them everywhere they are, not just on TV, not just on MSNBC, not just on your show, but everywhere they get information, then I think you'll see things turn around. Now, I'll push back a little bit because we are seeing polls show that the message is getting out about how we're fighting for access to health care and how Republicans are stripping health care away. And it's shifting. Now, Trump and Republicans are underwater on the economy, on health care, and on the job that they're doing.
All right, then. Well, look, we're glad to be here. It's going to be a lot of folks talking up there, so we'll be carrying all of those speeches, and we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Folks, let's go live into the main room where they are starting. Have we got a feed yet? Okay. All right, then. Okay. Well, so we'll do we'll wait till they get us that feed there. Congresswoman, we appreciate it. Enjoy the dinner.
Thank you.
Folks, there's a lot. Now let's go to the room there.
Why you decided to come here?
Well, I grew up in housing project in Richmond, Virginia, and there was a program called the Police Athletic League. An officer named Curtis Simmons kind of took me under his wing because I was a little mischievous growing up, and he kept me safe. I'm alive today because he kept me out of that, and I thank him for that because I tell people I've seen more murders as a child than I have as a police officer.
Wow.
So it's important to you.
I wanted to work with the at-risk youth because I was an at-risk youth. And so for 17 years, I've been working with the at-risk youth.
Wow. That says a lot about you as a person.
Thank you.
What made you decide this year to come on the show and why?
Well, I've been thinking about it for years, but I shy away because the only competition I do is karaoke.
Right.
So my wife convinced me. She convinced me to do everything I do. My wife convinces me to do. So I'm here.
That's incredible.
I'll be singing a song tonight.
Okay, well, look, we're rooting for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
And now for the singing of our national anthem, please rise if you're able. The singing will be done by Officer Mervyn Mayo.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
For tonight's invocation, please welcome to the stage the chairman of the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus, Delegate Luke Torian.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. If I may have your attention for a moment, please.
Yes, I'm blessed. Yes, I'm blessed. Yes. Playing cards, laughing hard, barbecuing, waking up the
Thank you.
whole block.
Let us pray. For a gathering this evening, dear God, we're grateful unto you. We thank you for this august body who have gathered because of a genuine concern about the state of our nation and our Commonwealth. We ask your blessings upon the leaders of this Commonwealth, and we ask your blessings upon the leadership of the Virginia Democratic Party. Dear God, we ask that as we gather tonight to fellowship, to share a meal together, and to express our concerns about how we bring solutions to this Commonwealth so that the quality of life for all Virginians might be enhanced. We ask that you would cover us. We ask that you would protect us. And also ask, dear God, that may we be mindful that we are forever blessed by you with grace and mercy. Bless this gathering this evening. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Welcome to the stage, the President pro tempore of the Senate of Virginia, L. Louise Lucas.
that wasn't really my song. It was supposed to be Ain't No Stopping Us Now. Hello, fellow Democrats. Do I need to get my phone, or are you going to put some words up here on this teleprompter? Phone, please. Come on, granddaughter.
Eloise Lucas!
Okay, since the teleprompter is not working, good evening, Virginia Democrats. How you all doing tonight? Just look at this room. You all can feel the energy. This is what unity looks like. And I want to thank our party leadership for bringing us all together tonight. Now listen, almost 4 years ago, we ended up with Glenn Youngkin as governor. But what a long-ass 4 years it's been for him. What a disappointment. Ineffective, lame duck, a sad little governor with a MAGA wish list and not much to show for it. I'm telling you, he really thought he was going to waltz into Virginia, pass his agenda, and ride off to the White House. Well, bless his little heart. These past 4 years, it's been the honor of a lifetime to be on the front line, the blue brick wall. Standing strong with my Democratic colleagues, fighting back every step of the way against the Republican attacks on our freedoms. But these next 4 years, they're not going to be about surviving. It's all about thriving. We're going to win back the mansion. Electing the first woman governor in the history of this Commonwealth. We're going to get that trifecta. And we're going to show the country how to govern. And just look at us tonight, united. Abigail Spanberger for governor. Gonzalo Highsmith for lieutenant governor. And Jay Jones for attorney general. And over in the House, Speaker Don Scott, my friend, you all know what he's going to do because he kick ass every day. He's going to make sure that we hold the House of Delegates and increase of the... Did you tell me we're going to go up to 70? Well, y'all asked me, who's leading the House anyway on the Republican side? Is it Todd Gilbert? No. Is it Terry Kilgore? No way. Well, you know, we really can't keep up. But we're headed into November in a strong position, and we got to keep the momentum going. We have to stand together, organize together, fight together for Virginia. Every person has the freedom to make decisions about their own bodies, their families, and their futures. So let's knock on every door, call every phone, reach every voter, and elect Democrats up and down the ballot from the top of the ticket to the very last race. And here is my promise to you. And as you know, as long as I can speak, or shall I say, as long as I can tweet, I'm not going to shut up. I will keep raising hell when I need to. And I will keep fighting for all Virginians. Now, I ain't hanging up those boxing gloves. Y'all gonna forget that shit. We got the biggest fight for our Commonwealth right here, right now. So come on, Virginia, onward to November.
Now for a special video tribute.
I knew Jerry Connolly for over 35 years. He was a great friend. He was a great public servant. I tell you, if you're in a political fight, you wanted Jerry Connolly on your side.
Jerry's a friend of mine ever since we both got elected to local government in the mid-1990s. We worked on so much together. I learned so much from him, and I could always count on his support for me, but also for initiatives that mattered to Northern Virginians and all Americans.
Jerry Connolly was the epitome of a servant leader who put his faith in action. First as a staffer on the Hill, as a member and then chair of the Fairfax Board of Supervisors, and as a member of Congress.
He was a fighter, he was fiery, he was funny, he had extraordinary integrity, and he had the gravity that the moment demanded.
Whether the fight is for federal workers or expanding access to health care or standing up to extremism, Jerry never backed down.
As a member of Congress, being a champion for NATO, and being a champion as a ranking member on the Oversight Committee, and even in my short time on the Oversight Committee with him, he was a champion for federal workers, for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and for every single family affected by the Trump administration's policies.
And boy, when it came to federal workers, Tim and I have done our part, other members of the delegation, but nobody fought harder for federal workers than Jerry Connolly. He was there for their pay, their retirement, just treating federal workers with respect.
Everything he got engaged in, people turned to him for leadership because he was a man of conviction, of purpose, and of consequence.
Jerry Connolly was the essence of a happy warrior, optimistic in the promise of America and Virginia, even in the face of adversity.
One of my favorite things about Jerry is that sometimes he would get this mischievous look on his face and he would really lean into his Boston accent and he would talk about the little leprechaun on his shoulder that was leading him to be a little bit mischievous. And so what I was so grateful for is that he was a man who was so fierce and focused in his support of his constituents and in his support and dedication to Virginia and to our country. But he always did it with that little twinkle in his eye and his leprechaun on his shoulder.
So tonight, as we gather as Virginia Democrats, we honor his legacy by continuing his work. Thank you, Jerry.
Please welcome to the stage the 69th Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia and your senior United States Senator, Mark Warner!
Good evening, Virginia Democrats. It is great to be back at the Blue Commonwealth dinner. I've been to a number of these over the years, and I think I got to do at least an immediate shout out to our great Democratic Party chair, Lamont Bagley, because for all the 30 years of doing this dinner, I've never been at one that we are halfway through the speaking program and it's 7:10. Well, yeah, this has been a tough year. We all of us who worked with Jerry appreciated his fights, appreciated his passion, appreciated the fact that there was no one, when you were in that fight, that you would rather have on your side. Losing him has been hard. But this has been an incredibly hard year, obviously, for all of us in the country. If you think about the damage that Donald Trump has done in less than 5 months to our country, we don't know whether Russia's our friend or Canada's our enemy. We now have a foreign policy by tweet, whereby we could have Americans in harm's way shortly, and God knows if there's anything we should have learned in this country, it's a hell of a lot easier to start a war in the Middle East than to stop one. And we've got to make sure that this president and his foreign policy by tweet, he has an obligation to the American people, for all of us, before he takes that action, to explain what has happened. The fact that we've seen the intelligence community turn on its head. Signalgate. Any other administration, those folks would have been fired. And if you think about the total incompetence of Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, Kristi Noem, this is a rogues gallery. And on top of that, there is just a mean-spiritedness that, frankly, I think has shocked all of us. Now, I know I sometimes get criticized. Oh, Warner, you're still trying to work with the Republicans. I tell you, I get a lot of the Republicans coming up to me in the Senate, and they say, oh, Mark, you need to keep talking about, especially on the national security items. Keep bringing that point home. I even had a Republican senator say to me the other day, oh, Mark, it's like you're our conscience. I don't want to be your damn conscience. I want you to vote your conscience. Stand up. Stand up. So one of the things I've been doing, I was with Jen McClellan today in Western Henrico, in the first part, in Whitman's part of the district. I've been in every congressional district with a town hall, because if the Republican congressmen are not showing up, we got to show up. And we got to make sure they understand who is responsible for these awful actions. And I can assure you, being in the middle of this god-awful bill, it is so much worse than even you can imagine. Every day there is another thing that comes out. Healthcare cuts, food assistance cuts, cutting research. Matter of fact, they are even cutting food banks. We can and must do better. And candidly, we got to make sure we talk to those folks that may have voted for Trump to realize who is responsible for these kind of absurd actions. And, you know, in many ways, and I'm going to be introducing our special guest in a moment, but the truth is, in the political world, the first report card on a political basis that Donald Trump and his crew are going to get is going to be what happens in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I can assure we have nominated an extraordinary ticket with Jay Jones as our next Attorney General that will actually stand up for Virginians and not be a patsy for this administration. Ghazala Hashmi, who will be an incredible lieutenant governor, who brings her own unique, special, but distinctly American story to this race. And leading this ticket, someone who back in 2018 took on a political race that anybody didn't think she could win. But Abigail Spanberger has got the fight, the grit, the determination, the national security bona fides to be a great, great governor. You know, and Abigail, I am going to be proud to be the first to call you Her Excellency, and everybody has to stand up. On top of that, obviously, we are incredibly blessed to have a remarkable speaker. Don Scott, we are going to get you not 51, 55, 60, 65. The whole country's going to be looking at us. Are we ready to win? Are we willing to echo my dear friend Louise Lucas, kick some ass and take some names? Our country is better than this. Our people are better than this. We're going to send a message come this November that will be heard all over the country. And all those Republicans who have not found courage yet, when we skunk them in Virginia, some of them even might finally find their voice. That as we think about this, you know, sometimes Virginia and Maryland have not always got along. But we have never been more united than you are right now, because Virginia and Maryland and the district, no communities have been harder by these crazy DOGE cuts, by the disrespect to our federal employees, by the destruction that's taking place than the Commonwealth and Maryland. And in Maryland, we have an extraordinary governor who actually fights for our federal workforce. Rich Abbott. He's been a veteran. He's got an extraordinary story, personal story, of how he has overcome, and again, in a uniquely American way, showed what you can do with grit, determination, and passion. He also, as somebody who's trying, Louise, to kind of up my social media game a little bit, if you want to see something extraordinary, check out Wes Moore's social media feed. He literally has suited up, Don, with the University of Maryland team and gone out for practice. I think I may want to suit up and take on the VCU basketball team a little bit later. But this is, for those of you who say, all right, where is our next generation of leaders? Well, we have one here tonight. Please join me in welcoming a great Democrat, a great governor, a great future leader for our party and our country, Governor Wes Moore of Maryland.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. What's going on, Virginia Democrats? It feels so good to be back in Southern Maryland. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm someone who, every time I'm with my folks, I always say I break the world up into two different categories. It's Marylanders and then it's soon to be Marylanders. But I'm an old Army guy, and I know when I'm outnumbered. So I'm gonna go ahead and guard my tongue tonight. But I'm not gonna guard my tongue about my excitement for what I'm seeing in this room tonight and what I'm seeing all across the Commonwealth. I first want to just say what an honor it is to be here and to be invited here, and start also just by acknowledging a few of the distinguished Virginians that I had a chance to go on the bus with earlier, and I've had a chance to spend time with, and people who I could not be more excited about being here tonight, being here any day, and making sure that this Commonwealth continues to thrive. First, I want to thank and congratulate the new Virginia Democrats Chair, Senator Lamont Bagby. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Delegate Torian for the work that is being done with the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus and for always being about the work. Thank you so much. I want to shout out President Pro Tem Lucas, who, where's President Pro Tem? That's my girl, man. I got to tell you, not only are we so grateful for your leadership, I love the way you curb stomp Glenn Youngkin anytime you get a chance. It is so fun to watch. I want to thank someone who is not only a trailblazer, and someone who is a glass shatterer, but someone who I look up to and admire, and I call on for guidance, and I'm thankful that he is not only my fraternity brother, but I'm thankful that he is someone who I know will continue to have leadership that shines not just throughout the Commonwealth, but all throughout this country. My friend, our Speaker, Speaker Don Scott. I want to thank the person who introduced me, because you know, I've had the joy of knowing Senator Warner. Actually, I first got a chance to meet him when he was governor, and one of the people who I reached out to for counsel and guidance as I was making my way to the State House up in Annapolis. Someone who told me that you're never going to have as fun a job, but someone who reminded me of this idea that as a governor, you have a chance to actually truly put together policies that can make people's lives better, but you have to understand that there's a period of time that you have. So don't waste a single day. And Senator Warner, I want to thank you not just for your friendship, but for that reminder that we can never waste a single day. And thank you for doing the same in all of your public service going forward. Thank you. And also saying it's really good to see a lot of people who I had the joy of being here last year and campaigning for. Got a chance to see Delegate Michael Feggins, where's Michael at? Good to see you, Pratt. Delegate Bowling. Senator Rome. And Senator Van Balken, who I just saw over here a little earlier. Great to see you again. And most importantly, I want to give a shout out to three of the people who I had the joy of hanging out in that big, beautiful bus out there earlier. The people who are the big three at the top of the ticket for the Commonwealth. Our nominee for Attorney General, Jay Jones. And let me tell y'all, if there is ever a question about the importance of attorneys general in this moment, let's be very clear. This moment, these roles are more important than ever, and Virginia, you've got the right one who's about to sit in this seat. The next Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Ghazala Hashmi. And as someone who is a record breaker in of herself, I know I'm bringing love and blessings from Maryland's historic Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, who says that she will be here each and every day if necessary to make sure that you join her ranks as the next Lieutenant Governor for the Commonwealth. And hey, Virginia, you have an extraordinary nominee to become your next governor in Abigail Spanberger. I am so thankful for y'all because I'm so ready for her to be my colleague. And I know for a lot of people that people might wonder and question, they say, you know, why is the governor of Maryland down here in Virginia campaigning on behalf of the leadership team in Virginia? And the answer is I have two very important reasons why I am down here and why I will keep on being down here to make sure that all these remarkable nominees become the people who will be leading the state going forward. The first is because I'm a big believer that partnership produces progress. And the reality is that I need a neighboring partner. And that's not something that I have had over the past 2.5 years. Because the truth is, I want a neighboring partner who understands that the way you respond to an all-out assault on our federal workers is not by sending people a LinkedIn profile. That I want a neighboring partner who understands that starting a trade war and raising prices on everybody, raising uncertainty on everybody, for our farmers, for our small businesses, and for our union workers is not smart policy, nor policy that we should back up as our jurisdictions. That I want a neighboring partner who understands that it's the middle class who deserves a tax cut, not the wealthiest, and especially when it means that we are going to cut our children off of Medicaid to do it. And there's a second reason. It's because I know what's at stake in this election. And the reality is, all eyes are on you, Virginia. The entire country is watching how you move. And the truth is, at a time when the entire country's eyeballs are on you, I know this is a Commonwealth that will not flinch, because your gubernatorial nominee is just built different. I'm here because I believe in Abigail Spanberger. This is a leader who defines patriotism. This is someone who has answered the call to service during every single chapter of her life. This is a person who's repeatedly proven that her fidelity is with the people, not with a person. And you know, I first took my first oath when I was 17 years old, and I joined the United States Army. In fact, the reality is, since I was 17, I was too young to sign the paperwork when I first joined, so my mother had to sign the paperwork for me. But as many folks know, after my teenage years, my mother would sign whatever paperwork the Army put in front of her. But I had to do something. Even though she signed the paperwork, I had to do something by myself. And that was, I had to take the oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. It's the same oath that I took for a second time when I was sworn in as the 63rd governor of the state of Maryland. And I have to say, since I am in the Commonwealth of Virginia, I am, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm only the third African-American ever elected governor in the history of the United States of America. But I'd be remiss if I didn't pay homage to the first, and that was Governor Doug Wilder. So when I took the oath to become the governor, that was the second time I took that oath. But here's the thing. Abigail's got a few up on me, because she has taken that oath 5 times, and she honors that oath every single day. She took the oath as a member of law enforcement. She took an oath as a member of the CIA. She's taken that oath as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and guess what? Because of the work that you all will do, in just months, she will take it for the 6th time when we elect her the next governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And you know who will not take that oath? Winsome Earl Sears. Because we are talking about a candidate who has supported a near total ban on reproductive health care. We are talking about a candidate who would defund public schools and jeopardize our children's future. We are talking about a candidate who has the gall to defend the Trump administration's attacks on federal workers by saying that that is somehow good for Virginia. Now, I know I'm the only black governor in the United States of America right now, and I know that is not a title that I want to hold on to for very long. But I do want to be very clear. I feel no obligation to support someone who has no interest in supporting us, and I am very clear that Winsome Earl Sears is not getting invited to the barbecue. So it is time for us to send Abigail Spanberger and this historic ticket to Richmond. It is time to expand the Democratic majority in the General Assembly so we can do things like raise a minimum wage and make sure we can lower health care costs. It is time to show the rest of the country what happens when Democrats come together and what we can do when we move in partnership, because divided we cannot win, but united we cannot lose. This is a time, Virginia. This is a time when you get a chance to show the whole country what it looks like when we come together, what it looks like when we stand up, what it looks like when we fight, what it looks like when we organize, what it looks like when we mobilize, what it looks like when we prepare to win, because we will build a commonwealth that those who came before us hope for. And you can build a commonwealth that those who come after us, they deserve. You all are going to put in the work, and the people of this commonwealth for generations to come will be able to look at each and every one of you and say, you, when everything was on the line, that you understood the assignment. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for this work, and thank you for focusing on leaving no one behind. Thank you all so much, and let's get this done.
Please welcome the 58th Speaker of the Virginia House of Delegates, John Scott!
So y'all gonna make me follow that, huh? You know what I mean? Y'all set me up. But first of all, I'm gonna put a little damp on the celebration. We're gonna celebrate for a few minutes because I knew Melissa Hortman. And I want to take a moment and speak about this horrific attack this past week in Minnesota. Melissa Hortman was my friend. Her husband, Mark, killed in a terrible tragedy, an unspeakable tragedy, murdered in their home for serving their state. So I just want to ask you all to stand for a moment of silence and pray for their families. Pray for Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette as they recover from their injuries. And I would just ask y'all to take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. I wish I could do my walk-up song over. So Virginia Democrats, are y'all ready? You ready? This is our year. And again, I'm Don Scott, Speaker of the House, so forth. But I had this long speech. I know they got it all in the teleprompter here. But I was sitting next to my wife, and she was like, bruh, tonight, you need to keep this speech really, really short. So I'm changing up everything. She said, you're going to follow the 3 B's. Baby, be bold, be brief, and be gone. So thank you, Dr. Colson, for your beautiful advice. So I'm going to take it. So here's my bold prediction. We are going to win big. Jay Jones is going to win big. Ghazala Hashmi is going to win big. And Abigail Spanberger is going to win big. Speak out.
And now, please welcome to the stage our next Attorney General, Jay Jones.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support tonight and in the fight that lies ahead. Virginia Democrats, are you ready to win in November? Are you ready to win in November? As our friend and my mentor, Governor Ralph Northam, says, when we elect Democrats in this Commonwealth, good things happen. And this November, we're going to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. We are going to send Abigail Spanberger to the governor's mansion. We're going to elect Ghazala Hashmi to be our next lieutenant governor. And as my dear friend, Don Scott, the Speaker of the House, just said, we're going to win big and we're going to give him some help. And guess what, everybody? We're going to send Jason Miyares packing. But before we get to that, I want to thank Shannon Taylor for her service to Henrico County, to Virginia, and for her vigorous campaign in this primary. Our party and our Commonwealth are strengthened when leaders step up, and thank you, Shannon, for your support. Because our party is united and we are ready to win this fall. We are ready to stop Donald Trump and his relentless attacks on Virginians, attacks that have been eagerly enabled by our Attorney General. For the last 4 years, Jason Miyares has put his own political agenda before the people. He has bent this office to serve these far-right ideologues, put corporate interests and profits over people, and Donald Trump's extreme agenda that is destroying Virginia's economy, devastating our workers, assailing democracy and the rule of law, he's all for that too. When Donald Trump enacted disaster tariffs that hurt Virginia's economy, Jason Miyares defended him. When Donald Trump fired federal workers that drive Virginia's economy, Jason Miyares stood by and let it happen. And when Donald Trump threatened to cut funding for our schools, our law enforcement, and our Virginia veterans, guess what he did? Jason Miyares went along with that too. Virginia cannot afford another 4 years of Donald Trump's personal attorney in the Attorney General's office. He must be defeated this November. We have to hold the line against those who seek to divide us and diminish us. I first ran for the House of Delegates in 2017, in no small part to protect Virginians from the worst of a Trump presidency. I will never back down from that fight. You have my promise tonight. But true leadership, true justice in this moment is about more than fighting back. It's about fighting for something. It's about advancing a positive, forward-looking vision for our shared Virginia future. It's about building a Commonwealth where every Virginian has the opportunity to realize their dream without fear. That means getting illegal guns off our streets, shutting down drug traffickers, and holding to account those who would profit from the pain of our most vulnerable communities. Our vision is one where every Virginian has a fair shot at building a more prosperous future for themselves and for their families. One where our environment is protected, where clean air and clean water are guarantees for every community. A future built on the unwavering commitment to freedom and justice for all. My family's story is rooted in the fight for civil rights.
I was brought up in Norfolk, Virginia with a conviction that our freedom and our security have always depended on the people who are willing to fight for that, for the freedom to vote, for equal protection under the law, to live safely and free from discrimination, and for the freedom to control your own body. These are not partisan talking points. They are bedrock principles upon which a just and more prosperous society is built. We will stand firm against those who seek to take us backward. We will take those who use their office for a radical agenda instead of protecting Virginians. And let us also, with equal fervor, hold tightly to hope. In these dark days for our nation, let us be those relentless champions for a brighter future for every Virginian. Now, I know you guys are eating, but Virginia Democrats, are you with me? Are you ready to elect leaders who will fight for every family across this Commonwealth? Are you ready to build a future that's brighter together? I know that I am. Let's go win. Thank you, and may God bless every single one of you. Good night.
Please welcome to the stage the next Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Senator Ghazala Hashmi.
Thank you, Virginia Democrats. Are we having a wonderful evening? It is such an honor to be here with you tonight and to be here as your Democratic nominee for Lieutenant Governor. I want to take this opportunity to recognize all my fellow Democrats who ran alongside me in our Lieutenant Governor primary. You know, each of them brought spirited and thoughtful work to their campaigns. I'm grateful for the efforts that everyone made, and I'm looking forward to working together as we work to ensure a victory in November for our Democratic Party. Now, at a time when we are feeling so uncertain about what is happening in Washington, I'm here to remind each of us that Virginia will not be bullied, Virginia will not be broken, Virginia will not be dragged into the chaos that's unfolding in Washington. And we are up against an entire Republican ticket that wants to bring Trump's policies right here once again to Virginia, and we're here to say a loud and collective no. You know, my opponent, John Reed, has made it clear where he stands. He supports banning abortion. He wants to defund our public schools. He stands shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump on his big backwards bill, and he supports the deep cuts to Virginia's federal workforce. We're going to say no. That's not leadership. That's not Virginia. And we're not going to allow those sensibilities to lead our state in the next 4 years. So let's be very honest. Let's be very honest. This Republican ticket barely even talks to each other. They can't even put out a joint press statement. How in the world do they expect to lead the Commonwealth? I guess when your agenda is that deeply unpopular, it's safer to pretend that you're not even talking to one another. By contrast, Virginians deserve leaders who will fight for our freedoms, not take them away. Leaders who will protect our democracy, not undermine it. And leaders who can believe that government can and should be a force for common good. As a professor, as a mother, and as a public servant, I've spent my life fighting for the communities that were left behind. I've stood up for vulnerable communities, pushed for fully funded public schools, defended reproductive rights, and fought to protect Medicaid expansion here in Virginia. As Lieutenant Governor, I will be a part of that big blue brick wall. We have been building that wall steadily since I helped to flip the state Senate in 2020. We don't have time. We don't have time for small plans or soft voices. We need spines of steel. We're facing a pivotal moment in our history, and we need leaders who are going to rise to that moment with clarity, conviction, and an unshakable belief in what Virginia can and will be. Many of us were there in 2017. We stood on the front lines to protect Virginia from extremism, and as your next Lieutenant Governor, I will lead the charge to do the same. So let's finish what we started. Let's make history again in Virginia, and let's send a message to the rest of the nation that our Commonwealth is not for sale, not for silence, and not for slipping backwards. Let's remind Virginia. Let's remind Virginia and all of America that our Constitution begins with a powerful and inclusive word, and that word is we, as in we the people, and we the people are stronger together, we the people are more compassionate together, and we the people of the Commonwealth are ready to lead this country forward. So together we're going to win in November, and alongside my friends and our leaders, Abigail Spanberger and Jay Jones, we're going to build a Virginia that works for everyone. And now, please join me in welcoming our Congresswoman who led the Blue Wave, who inspired so many people. We are going to be led by a fearless leader in Abigail Spanberger. I am so delighted to be here with everyone on this ticket. Thank you, Virginia.
Ladies and gentlemen, with your work, with your heart, she will be the 75th Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Please welcome Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I want to say thank you to all of the Virginia Democrats. Thank you for being here. And Senator Lucas, because of you, I'm a contingency planner, so I got my paper. My name is Abigail Spanberger, and I am proud to be your nominee to serve as the 75th Governor of Virginia. And tonight, we are here to take stock of where we are as a Commonwealth. We are here to prepare for what will, no doubt, be a long and tough election. And I want to begin by thanking Chairman Lamont Bagby for organizing tonight's event and for leading the Democratic Party of Virginia at this pivotal time when our Commonwealth is truly at a crossroads. This is an amazing event. The food is delicious. Thank you, Mosaic. And the speeches are short. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to thank Chairwoman Susan Swecker. Thank you for your tireless commitment Thank you for your tireless commitment to the Democratic Party of Virginia over the last 10 years. You built a powerful community, and we are building upon the foundation that you made possible for us, so thank you. My friends, this year we will send a message to our fellow Virginians and our fellow Americans about what we want in our politics. And here's how we're going to do it. We are going to elect candidates who will work to lower costs for Virginia families, not make life more expensive. We are going to elect candidates who will work to strengthen our public schools, not attack them or slash their funding. And we are going to elect candidates who understand that Virginians want leadership that puts Virginia, not a president or even a party, first. Virginians want candidates who are committed to serving them. I am a proud Virginian, and I was raised in a house where my parents taught me the value of service. Service to our community and service to our country. And they led by example. My mother's a nurse. They never really retire. And the consummate community volunteer. My father is an Army veteran and a federal law enforcement officer, and the gentleman who's going to record my whole speech, even though I have a whole team of people doing it. Hi, Dad. And growing up, I always wanted to follow in my father's footsteps. He used to say there's no higher calling than service to country. And I did just that, beginning my career first as a federal agent and then as a CIA case officer. I worked the entirety of my time at CIA undercover, and I worked counterterrorism cases, nuclear proliferation cases, and I tracked transnational criminal organizations. At CIA, we focused on a mission, understanding the threats facing our country and the world, and we worked to keep the American people safe. I believed in that mission, and I loved it. And back in 2014, we were posted on the West Coast after spending time overseas. And my husband, Adam, who is we were talking about where we might go next. And at the time, our oldest daughter, our oldest of 3 daughters, she was in kindergarten. And so we asked her where in the world might we move. It was a teachable moment, really just meant to show her a few countries on a globe. We were not soliciting real feedback. But as we suggested countries like Kenya and England, she said, Virginia. And we said, no. No, with Mommy's job, we're not going to go to Virginia. And she said, well, why wouldn't we go to Virginia? Everyone we love lives in Virginia. And she was right. Everyone we love lives in Virginia, this place that made me who I am, this place that has been so much to so many people. And so we moved back home to Virginia to raise our girls here and put down roots. And while my time at CIA was over, my service was not. And after the 2016 election, the chaos of the Trump administration turned my attention towards politics in a new way. And after my congressman voted to take health care away from thousands of Virginians, I decided that someone needed to unseat him. And in a district that hadn't elected a Democrat in 50 years, as Senator Warner said, it looked a bit unwinnable. But I knew that Virginians deserved more than the chaos that we were seeing on TV, and I knew that if community members got together and believed that change was possible and progress was ours for the taking, if we worked hard enough, that we could win. And we did. And then we won again. And again. Because we knocked thousands of doors, we talked to voters, about what they wanted and what they needed and what they believed. And on Capitol Hill, I made it my mission to get results I had legislation signed into law to lower prescription drug costs, to combat the fentanyl crisis, to support Virginia's veterans, and to get more than 50,000 Virginia public servants the Social Security benefits that they had long been denied. But there is so much more to do. And so there is a new mission, and this one is for all of us. While it can get exhausting to have elections every single year, am I right, Virginia Democrats? Every year. Every year. The reality is that we are lucky this year. We get to be among the first in the nation to go to the polls and to make our voices heard, to reject the chaos and the dysfunction coming out of Washington, to reject the attacks on Virginians and Virginia, to stand up for our federal workers, our economy, our small businesses, our farms, our research grants, to protect SNAP dollars that keep so many kids in Virginia from going to bed hungry. We can stand up against the attacks on health care and the fate of our rural hospitals, those attacks coming out of Washington. Virginia voters have a special opportunity to send a message this November. Amid the recklessness, the heartlessness coming out of Washington these days, Virginia voters can flip, not one, not two, but 3 statewide seats, from red to blue. And it starts with the people in this room, the people who recognize the urgency of this moment, and the leaders who have been doing the work for so long. I want to thank Senator Lucas, in addition to ensuring that I had a contingency plan. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your leadership as a legislator and as a woman and as a Black woman. Thank you for leading the way in every job you've ever had. And gentlemen, if you'll allow me, to every woman in the room who has ever put her name on a ballot, thank you. It is because of you that it wasn't all that unique or novel for people to vote for Ghazala Hashmi to be our nominee for the Lieutenant Governor. And it's because of you that it wasn't all that novel to have me be your nominee for governor. We have a great team. We have incredible candidates running in all 100 seats in the House of Delegates. And so while Speaker Scott might be brief in tonight's remarks, he has not been brief in the work he's been doing across the country, ensuring that people know what's at stake this year in Virginia, in ensuring that a candidate who says, oh, I think I might want to run, gets convinced just a bit to actually do it. And to all of the candidates who will be on the ballot with us this year, I cannot wait for us to run the largest coordinated campaign that Virginia has ever seen. Someone once made a comment about getting tired of winning. I never get tired of winning. And with regional partners like Governor Wes Moore, who will continue to come to Virginia to support us as neighbors. I'm so grateful that we were able to welcome him here in Richmond. I think he had to hit the road because we all know 95 is terrible. But he understands what it means to be called to public service. And I know that come January, we will have a regional partner and friend, all of us, here in Virginia, just a few minutes up the road, depending on traffic. We must win this year because there is no other option. My opponent is bad on all issues, from education to reproductive rights to LGBTQ rights to the economy to the environment. And she certainly won't stand up for Virginians or Virginia in the face of a president and a Congress trying to hurt and undermine them. And I'll say this, at a difficult and challenging time in our nation's history, let's call it motivating, my opponent is also highly motivating. And so when you see that next terrible story out of Congress or that next chaotic social media post from the president, don't let it upset you or enrage you. Let it motivate you. Let's have it motivate us to knock more doors, make more calls, engage more friends and neighbors about this election and why it is so important, about what Virginians deserve. And as for me, I will tell you what keeps me motivated. For me, it's the idea that if ever there is a little girl anywhere who tells her parents that she wants to move home to Virginia, because everyone she loves lives in Virginia, I want to ensure that in our extraordinary Commonwealth, there's a house her family can afford in the community they want to call home. That there are good, family-sustaining, good jobs for her parents, that there are strong schools where she will be safe and her teachers will be well paid and well supported. That the Virginia they move to is a place where her rights are respected, where the environment around her is protected, the air is clean, and the water is safe to drink. That it's a place where her family is welcomed with open arms, no matter their makeup, their race, their identity, their religion, or their beliefs. And that hers will be a Virginia where every opportunity is hers and where the possibilities are limitless. That is the Virginia I believe in for all of our children. It is the one I will work every single day to make a reality. So let me ask you, are you ready to join us? Are you ready to elect Ghazala Hashmi as our next Lieutenant Governor? Are you ready to elect Jay Jones as our next Attorney General? Are you ready to get to work? Are you ready to win? Then let's plan to absolutely crush it in November. Thank you.
Your 2025 Democratic statewide ticket, Jay Jones, Ghazala Hashmi, and Abigail Spanberger. And to close us out, please welcome the chairman of the Democratic Party of Virginia, the senator from Henrico, Lamont Bagby.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Hey, listen, I hope you all enjoyed that moment just as much as I did. I've been dreaming for that moment since Tuesday, waiting for the three of them to be on the stage together. And you know what Republicans are doing about their three candidates? They are still dreaming for them to be on stage together. I'm excited about where we're going. I want to thank you all. I also want to thank our team, our DPVA team. I don't know where Kate is, but Kate, if you will raise your hand or do something. Kate Jones led the way on this. I want you all to give her a round of applause if you will join me in that. I want to thank Caroline. I want to thank Casey Easley. I want to thank someone that was, well, I don't know. She doesn't really work for the speaker. She works in my office more than the speaker's office. Let's give it up for Kim Wimbush. He don't like that, y'all. He don't like that at all. But I mean, I can't go through the entire team, but I'm thrilled by the effort they put. Listen, I'm not an easy guy to work alongside sometimes. I'm not an easy guy to live with. You can ask my wife. But I do want to thank Javada, because she literally could have been anywhere in the world, including Paris. Her birthday was yesterday. She was supposed to be in Paris for Beyonce. But, you know, I am who I am, so she want to be next to me. But she's going to see Beyonce and she's going to go see Paris. She may not see both at the same time, but we're going to make both of them happen. I want to thank Javada for staying here and sharing today with us. I want to thank each and every one of you for sharing it. Hey, listen, the night is not done. You don't have to leave just yet. I think we got the bar still open. But if you all would do me one thing, wherever you are, let's go ahead and get the party started right here, right now. And if y'all can play a little Beyonce for my wife, I would be greatly appreciative. And I want you all to get home safely, get home peacefully, and let's get this work done, y'all.
Hey, folks, that is the conclusion of the Virginia Deems Blue Commonwealth Gala dinner. Folks are making their way out. In a few moments, we're going to be talking with some of the folks who are here, including Senator Mark Warner. I absolutely got some questions for him. Of course, just so folks know, the breaking news, the United States has sent B-2 bombers to actually bomb Iran. 3, this is a Truth Social post from Donald Trump. We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site. Fordow, all planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There's not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Well, this, of course, escalates. The United States is absolutely now directly involved in the war in Iran that Israel has been waging against them. The U.S. is now in that war. So that breaking news just coming in. And so we hope to, again, grab Senator Mark Warner. He, of course, sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee. He is I'll give you the exact title. He is the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, the number 2, the ranking Democrat on that committee. And so I'm certainly know that he is going to have something to say about this. But again, this, of course, is a huge fundraiser for Virginia Democrats. This election is going to be a bellwether election that gives us a sense about where Democrats are in terms of this election. So the Virginia House, all House delegate seats are up. Then, of course, you have the state offices that are up. Of course, governor's mansion, attorney general, lieutenant governor. You have, of course, all the top positions. It's going to be crucial, obviously, in this state to have black turnout. When you look at on the Democratic side, what do you have? You have, again, Luis Lucas on the Senate side. You have Don Scott on the House side, 2 African Americans who are leading. You have a Muslim woman who is running for lieutenant governor on the Democratic side. An African American, Jay Jones, is running for attorney general. And then, of course, you have Spanberger, a white woman who's running for governor. And so you have a level of diversity, but it's going to be critical to see maximum black turnout in this election. And so that's going to be getting out, knocking on doors, hitting precincts, traveling all over, being able to do so. And that's really what the goal really has to be, to reach the voters. We've been, of course, looking at what's happened here. We saw, of course, last week you had the primary in New Jersey. Ras Baraka, the mayor of Newark, was running for governor. He placed 3rd in that particular primary, and so he will not be advancing. We're also looking at, of course, you've got a New York City mayoral race, a Detroit mayor's race, a New Orleans mayor race. You've got African-American candidates who are running in all of those different positions. And so we're watching that to give us a sense of black political power and how that's all coming out. And so, again, right now we're just waiting for several more of the guests to come out, some of the folks who actually spoke here. And so we're looking at these races, and I can't say enough. And you heard Governor Westmore when he was with us. We talked about how critical state elections are. And for too long, you look at state Supreme Court races, Democrats have not paid attention to those races. And then you look at what happened on state level. You have Republicans, they control more states. They control more states. And when we say control the states, they control the governor's mansion, the House, and the Senate. In some of these places, they have a supermajority. So, for instance, in Louisiana, there's a supermajority. You see, they lost a supermajority in North Carolina. What that means is they can do stuff, not even talk to Democrats. There was a supermajority in Florida, a supermajority in Texas. So it's actually rare where you have places where Democrats have a trifecta, where they control the House, the Senate, and the governor's mansion. We saw what happened in Michigan when Democrats won all 3, the kind of bills that were being passed, dealing with reproductive rights, dealing with voting rights, dealing with economics. And so the same thing in Minnesota. All sorts of initiatives were passed when Democrats took control of the House, the Senate, as well as the governor's mansion in Minnesota. And so Democrats have an opportunity to do what Republicans do. When you control all 3, you get to set the agenda. You get to run the table. And so what you don't have, though, what you're not going to have in Virginia, is a supermajority. And so it's going to be extremely tight. And they've gone back and forth where Republicans and Democrats control one or both of the branches by 1 or 2 votes. And so it all depends. And so that's the sort of thing that we're seeing that's taking place. And so, this is absolutely critical We start talking about what matters to us. We've talked about it. Voting rights is an issue. When you have a governor, Republican governor, MAGA Governor Glenn Youngkin, who has made some decisions that suppress the vote. That is a problem. When you start talking about civil rights, when you start talking about economic rights, when you start talking about things for the poor, all these different things. So when we talk about what is a black agenda, well, then you have to then ask, okay, who's going to support that black agenda? Now, Abigail Spanberger, who is running for governor, Democratic nominee for governor, we didn't talk to her beforehand, and she, after she finished speaking, then she hurriedly left the building. We want to talk to her. We want to know what is her black agenda for black Virginians, because she wants those votes. That still is very important. So it's not just a question of, hey, elect a Democrat. No, what are you going to do for African-American constituency? And so that's the question that we're asking all these different candidates if they want to get African Americans out to vote. And so we're looking at all of these different races. Like I said, House races, Senate races, governor's races, state races. Don't think for a second the Attorney General is not important. We saw what happened when Republican Attorney General came in and began to make all sorts of movers, invalidating lots of the actions of the previous administration. You hear me talk all the time. Y'all hear me talk all the time on this show about political power, about how power is used, how power is wielded. And so we have to understand that. So we can't be ignoring these races. All of these down ballot races are hugely, hugely important when it comes to how we assume things. Take Secretary of State, perfect example. The Secretary of State is responsible for voting in states. And so people have to realize that when we're voting, we should be voting up from the bottom down. Every single race. We cannot afford for our vote to not be counted. Skipping races, skipping over seats. You heard me talk to the district attorney for the Commonwealth of Norfolk. Same thing. Those DA races are crucial. What you didn't hear me say is that he told me afterwards, he ran the most expensive primary race in Virginia history because they felt that he was too progressive. Too progressive. And so that's what we're talking about. That's what we're dealing with. And so I just want us to understand those things. And so that's what's going on. And so let's get a shot of the room. Again, folks are mixing and mingling, talking, networking. All those different things are happening in the room. Real quick here. Lauren, grab a microphone. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So, Lauren Victoria Burke, of course, she has her website here, also writes for Black Press of America. Lauren, this is, first of all, primaries are now over.
Right.
Now the general is set. You cover this state a lot. How strong are the Democrats' chances of having a trifecta, winning the House, the Senate, and the governor's mansion?
I think it's really strong. I think this is basically the 2017 cycle. As you know, Roland, that cycle featured the first iteration of Donald Trump, which, of course, was a crazy show. This iteration is even more crazy, and we've seen it in other races around the country where you get these weird anomalies in red seats when you see the little clues and hints that the folks in Virginia have a good shot at running the table with all three candidates. A lot of people are saying that their lieutenant governor candidate, State Senator Ghazala Hashmi, isn't very exciting or is too professorial. I worked with her when I was working in state government for Lieutenant Governor Fairfax. She's extremely smart. She's going to light it up, and I think she's going to do really, really well.
One of the things that I was saying right before you came out is that we can't downplay who's Secretary of State, who's Attorney General,
right.
All those other positions, because, perfect example, the Attorney General has become hugely important with the craziness coming out of Washington.
That's exactly right, Roland. Exactly right.
And we've got black Attorney Generals. We got a black Attorney General in Illinois, in Nevada, in Massachusetts. I'm leaving off a couple. I think there are 4 or 5 black AGs in America.
Right, and you're going to see with Jay Jones. His family's story is absolutely incredible. His father and grandfather were both effectively civil rights leaders. But as he likes to say, and I think he's right about this, We've had an attorney general in Jason Miyares who's basically been the partner of the Trump administration. And in a time when they're sort of ignoring the Constitution and effectively kidnapping people and sending them to El Salvador with no due process, having an attorney general that pays attention to the Constitution is actually an important thing. So you're going to see that with Jay Jones. And, of course, top of the ticket, we have Abigail Spanberger.
You've been covering this, and, you know, one of the things that I said, first of all, of course, you also have Anthony Brown, who is in Maryland. You have him as well. Again, Andrea Campbell, she's in Massachusetts. Kwame Raoul, who is in Illinois. Aaron Ford, who is in Nevada. And, of course, Keith Ellison is the Attorney General in Minnesota. And so, again, so like I said, it was 5. Jones looking to come number 6. And so let's talk about Spanberger, top of the ticket. The reality is, and I said it before, she, along with Democrats, are going to need a huge black voter turnout.
Absolutely.
Do you believe that Virginia Democrats, because you've got black people in key positions, head of the party, Speaker of the House, running the money in the Senate, are going to make sure that they don't do what these white Democrats do elsewhere and not put resources to turn black people out?
That's the key. Now, you do understand, of course, that the top of ticket is effectively the leader of the party, in the same way we saw with Joe Biden on the national level. So even though obviously Lamont Bagby is the chair of the Democratic Party in Virginia, that's understood. Really, when you have a race like this, the top of ticket really runs the coordinated campaign. Okay, so Abigail Spanberger in this moment has got to team up with all the people that you just named. Obviously, Speaker Don Scott, who plays a huge role in this. He's going to be looking to pick up at least 10 seats in the Virginia House. I think he's going to do it, quite frankly. He runs this thing like a military operation, okay? Your alpha brother is not fooling around. And his level of organization, I think, joined with the fact that you've got a young Jay Jones at 36 years old in your attorney general slot, and, of course, Abigail's efforts should unite the party. It's a great example of how diversity, in fact, is a strength, right? Because you're going to bring together all sectors of the Commonwealth of Virginia. The Black Hampton Road section, obviously Black Richmond. You have the whiter parts of Virginia with regard to Northern Virginia and Southern Virginia. And then you have the secret weapon, and that is State Senator Ghazala Hashmi, who brings a constituency that people do not talk about enough, that is growing in Virginia, and she being on that ticket is a huge thing.
Meaning Muslim voters.
Exactly. Not just Muslim voters, South Asian voters.
There you go.
And they came in here from California, were knocking doors for her, and she pulled a surprise. I had it totally wrong. Full disclosure, I voted for Aaron Rouse. I thought Aaron Rouse was going to win. I was totally wrong.
Yeah, but here's the deal, though.
She won.
But also, that race was a perfect example of when you have two prominent African Americans running, they're also going to cancel each other out. She won, and what? The mayor of Richmond is okay. LeVar and Rouse, both of them were what, 22, 24%
exactly right.
Combined. They were almost 48%.
Exactly right. I mean, most people, the conventional wisdom, and I think this is accurate, is that Aaron Rouse would have won without LeVar being in the race. LeVar switched from
running for governor from lieutenant governor.
Exactly right. But now we are where we are, of course, and that three-part, that diversity that you have now on this ticket is going to be the strength of the party, I think, and I think they're going to.
But I still believe, though, that because of what happened in November, how Democrats ignored shows like this, podcasts, how they spent their money, they are now forced to think differently because they cannot afford to do that screw up again.
Well, in a state like Virginia, much like Maryland, you have to have the black community's buy-in. To quote the great L. Douglas Wilder, who will pop up during this campaign and say that again, and he'll be absolutely correct. You have to have that 20% not only buying in, they've got to be vigorous, they've got to be showing up, and as you like to say, Roland, you cannot allow the couch to win. So that is going to be something that Abigail Spanberger is going to have to strategically put together and figure out. Frankly, I think she will, and I think she'll have no choice. She has Jay Jones on this ticket. He's going to bring a lot of that interest as somebody from Norfolk, Virginia. And I think they'll get it together. And frankly, they have a strong wind at their back when you have somebody in the White House as crazy as Donald Trump.
Well, also, when I was talking to Don, when I was talking to Westmore, I said, look, both of your states have been decimated by these federal cuts.
Absolutely.
And so I think also they're going to have an opportunity to pick up independent voters, Republican voters, by saying these are the people who cost you your jobs. You to put your kids out of college.
Right.
And here's the deal. Every Republican running, from Winsome Sears on down, they are trying to tie themselves to Trump. I don't necessarily know if that's what you want to do in Virginia or Maryland after what Doge has done.
That's absolutely right. Well, you know, Speaker Scott, your frat brother there, set up an emergency committee to discuss exactly that. They had a meeting in Norfolk just this week to discuss federal cuts and the impact on everybody. That impact is absolutely huge. It has a domino effect, not only on the person who is in the job, but of course the entire family. The numbers are still coming in from UVA, a bunch of analysis from UVA on the impact of the federal job cuts. But not only that, as Senator Warner said on the stage, if that bill passes and people's health care start getting cut, that's going to get home really fast and really hard.
Well, and again, what I have said numerous times is that the folk who voted for Trump, they have to be taught a lesson. And you have to take stuff from them.
Right.
And you start taking jobs, and then even if they say, well, I don't have a federal job, yeah, but if your business depends upon those federal jobs, and then your Medicaid gets snatched,
that's right.
We already see they're looking at cutting SNAP benefits. Oh, it's going to be a lot of rural white people in Virginia.
That's right.
Who got waving a Confederate flag and a Trump flag about to come face to face with being real broke.
Absolutely. And, you know, Lamont Bagby, the chair of the party, is planning to focus a lot of energy on rural Virginia. There's actually an event tomorrow at 11 o'clock, a rural Virginia event. And they have the Democrats have seated a Democrat running in every House seat, all of the 100 House seats. That's mostly, a lot of that work was Fergie Reed Jr., who is the son of the first black member of the House of Delegates, Ferguson Reed Sr., who was elected in 68, I think it was. At any rate, he's going to kill me for not knowing that year. But Fergie Reed Jr. is calling candidates all the time around the Commonwealth and getting them to run. And they've seated a candidate in every seat of the whole 100, which is a rare thing and a big advantage for them.
Well, but also what it does is it forces you to have to run everywhere.
Exactly right.
So if you concede, I mean, I've had this conversation with Bishop William Barber,
right?
Where in North Carolina and Tennessee, you've got a third, almost half of the folks running of no opposition. Hell, you guaranteeing.
Right.
And then they was like, I ain't got to worry about my race. They can now spend that money in other parts of the state.
Exactly. And Fergie says that all the time. You know, that candidate, even if it's in a red seat, that doesn't have an opponent, is going to take that money and give it to another race that's close, and it's a disadvantage. So just by having someone that's an opponent, it forces you to pay attention because you don't want to get Eric Cantor.
There you go.
You can get Eric Cantor.
Right.
As Abigail
and
mentioned.
for folks who don't know, Eric Cantor, a senior leader in the House, totally ignored the dude who was running against him in Virginia. The guy who was running against him in the Republican primary, that dude had virtually no money. I mean, Cantor acted like he didn't even exist. And then come election night, Cantor was conceding. So, yeah. So, matter of fact, that's a phrase in Virginia. You do not want to be cantered.
That's right. That's right. And it can happen, particularly in a cycle like this where you have some unprecedented activity happening on a federal level with regard to Donald Trump. This is the type of cycle where it can happen. It already happened.
Not just that. Look, we just bombed Iran.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
So
it gets real. I mean, this stuff is real. Military presence in Virginia is huge.
Right.
And so people are paying attention to stuff like that. We're starting a war. Now the money's coming in. Notice how you don't hear any conversations about the budget and money. We're starting a war. All that money's going to go to Blackwater and Halliburton, as you know. And here we go with the transfer of wealth, because this is what Donald Trump's all about. He's about transferring the money. As you've talked about so many times, that is what this is about. That's what this is going to become about.
Oh, absolutely. Last point here. This state, people really will be paying attention to the turnout, the messaging. If they win, how big do they win? Is it close? Is it a blowout? Because there's this assumption, and this is the problem I have with these national polls. everything is like, oh my God, Democrats are in the dumps. Those are national polls. So they're looking at, they don't understand state races are state races. Right. They're not national races.
Right.
2026, the congressional races, those are local races. They're not national races. Right. The Senate races are statewide races. Right. So people get confused, but I keep telling people that poll means nothing when we start talking about this state house, state senate, gubernatorial, or statewide run.
Yeah, I mean, state house races don't get the attention that they should. You know, in my newsletter, Black Virginia News, we try to put a lot of attention on state house races, particularly when you have a field marshal in charge. I mean, I'm telling you, Don Scott has really brought an energy and an organization to the way he does things that really should get covered and really duplicated, I think, by the Democratic Party around this country, because it is going to be, I think, something special that he's about to do. He already did it once. I think he's going to top himself. It's really him and Delegate Dan Helmer partnered together, and they are very organized. And this is a cycle where they could actually make a little bit of history.
Well, the thing that's interesting to me is you're right. When they hit us up, and we did the town halls 2 years ago.
Right.
There were some big names in Virginia who were like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that? I mean, why are you spending resources on that?" And then when they won, Don said, he said, every one of those votes matter. Right. Every single one of those. He said, so you didn't understand that thousands were watching. They were seeing those things.
Absolutely.
And you didn't realize it. And again, it was this sort of this thing that they were so fixated on just spend money on broadcast, just run a whole bunch of ads. It was kind of like, no, understand. And there were some close races.
Right.
I mean, so it wasn't like, I mean, they won by, they got a 1 vote a margin.
One of the people that you interviewed, Kim Pope Adams, who has a race in Petersburg, she barely lost by 50 votes.
Yep.
You interviewed her. She said to me tonight in the VIP reception room that when I was on Roland's show, people in that community saw that interview, right? They were like, whoa, the name rec and the recognition of how big of a deal that interview was a huge thing for her campaign. It was funny. We just had that conversation.
Oh, well, and the brother, hold up. He's
Nadarius Clark?
No. He's escaped me right now. We just chat
Alex
with.
Askew,
hold on
Mike
one second. Hold on, I got it. Michael Fagans.
Michael Fagans, yeah.
Fagans, his ad.
Right.
He said, man, because he didn't have much money.
Right.
He said, you running that ad
right.
and interviewing me, he said, man, that was huge.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so, and again, so all these people that they don't understand. First of all, what gets me is, and even some black people are like this, they don't understand. They swear, man, ain't nobody watching you. I'm like, no. You're wrong. And they don't understand it's called mass media for a reason.
Right.
All right. If you have an event and 30 people show up.
Right.
But if you have an event and you stream it and then all of a sudden several thousand, tens of thousands folks are sharing, you're not talking to the room. And that was the deal.
Yeah.
That these people just don't get. They keep playing that old game and let's try to get on CNN. Well, okay, how much time are you going to have?
Right. Exactly.
What are they going to ask you about?
That's right.
It will be the same BS.
That's right. See, and your show is hitting the demographic, the exact demographic that needs to be hit for those types of races. Michael Fagans, too, is really good at the game of taking that interview, amplifying it even more. He's great on TikTok.
Break it up, edit it, share it. Right.
His chief of staff, Maurice Hawkins, Alex Askew's another delegate down there, Michael Fagans, and Aaron Rouse. They are black elected officials in one of the toughest parts of the Commonwealth of Virginia. They are in a red, Virginia Beach, that area is basically red. There's a lot of Republicans down there, and they're winning. And they're winning in part because of paying attention to that type of media strategy, the type of media strategy that the Democratic Party is in desperate need of embracing. They're slowly moving towards it, but they're finally looking at your numbers blowing up and realizing, wait a minute, why are we hiring the same vendors that are losing elections? We've got somebody that not only knows the specifics of the races, is willing to come out here and be here tonight for something like this, the Blue Commonwealth Gala, and knows the candidates, and in your case, already interviewed the candidates 2 years ago, and those candidates are still talking about it.
Well, and that's the thing. It's understanding how to reach people. And what I keep saying, and again, black folks, 20% of Virginia.
Right.
But the key, though, is how do you maximize the 20%?
That's right.
So what we don't want to have is, oh, you got 20%, and then it's 34, 38, 42% turnout. I keep saying, no. What we need is to be hitting 70% of our capacity. We do that, and they're voting at the same level.
Exactly.
We win.
Exactly.
In 2008, everybody needs to understand, 2008, black people percentage-wise outvoted white people in the election. It was the first time in history more African Americans voted, not numerical numbers, but percentage than white voters.
Right.
That's what we have to be doing in every election, and we can run the table.
Right. This is going to get a little tricky because Spanberger has sort of signaled that she wants to sort of do what I would say is sort of the anti-Stacey Abrams strategy, which is you are campaigning to the moderate white sort of Republican or moderate white voter. You're already seeing signs of that. She has won her race in the congressional districts using that strategy because Abigail Spanberger has had some really tough, close races in a very even, 50-50 type district, red and blue. Now, she wants, I think she wants to bring that to the Commonwealth, and that's where we're going to see some very interesting moments here, because like what you just said, when you get that black voter in that voting booth, they have a more than 90% chance of voting with the Democratic Party. So the Stacey Abrams strategy was always, look, if you could get that voter to the polls, boom, you got it more than 90% of the time. I think there's going to be a little bit of a discussion about that. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes, because I know that there's always that conflict of, will the party invest in black voters, in black operatives, in black field campaigning, and really effectively put dollars into black voters, right? And so you're not seeing that sometimes in the Democratic Party. That's been kind of a conflict there, and we're going to see that in this campaign.
Well, first of all, one of the things that she has to be very careful with that strategy is the black voter that's 54 and under. You have to work for them.
Right.
They're not self-identified. Mm-hmm. And so that people have to understand. So you got to talk to them. You got to campaign. You got to lay out an agenda. You just can't come and wave with a couple of black folks with you, with Louise Lucas and Don Scott with you and say, yo, I got it. No. You're going to have to actually say something to them. And so, we tried to get Spanberger before the show and after, didn't get her.
Oh, really?
She left out. But my deal is like, you're going to have to talk. You're going to have to talk to our voters, because I'm telling you, we're seeing this all across the country. Black voters are literally saying, no. You got to come talk to me. You got to come earn this vote.
Yeah, one of the things that's happened here is because Spanberger did not have an opponent, people get rusty to me when they don't have opponents.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of it.
Yep.
We saw it with Hillary Clinton in 2016, and there was this attitude of, I don't really need to talk to the media because I got this, and then they get rusty. I actually think having the battle in the primary is...
Oh, I agree. First of all, it sharpens your campaign.
Right.
It sharpens your message. It sharpens the candidate, and more people are hearing about you because you ran, and now you are building on that leading up to November.
That's exactly right. And when people get afraid to do boilerplate interviews on a night like this, where it's just like, come on now, it really should not be that difficult. Hopefully she'll change that policy, but I think it's going to take some time. I do think it's going to take some
trust
time.
me, her campaign will be hearing from us. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Absolutely.
All right, Lauren, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Great
folks, we're going to go to a quick break. We come back. We hope to get Senator Mark Warner, Jay Jones. We try to get some of the other kids. We wait to talk to them. They might be inside shaking hands and, probably trying to raise some money. You're watching the special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
On the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. A very different take on Juneteenth with the one and only Dr. Sunyata Ahmed. We'll explore the amazing foods, remedies, and rituals that are a part of our history and the Juneteenth holiday.
So it's our responsibility to return the healthier version to our folks instead of just the red liqueurs marketed to us, the red sodas and the other things. I mean, why does the Kool-Aid man have to sound like Louis Armstrong? He's like, oh yeah!
Yeah, right. An enlightening and tasty hour of the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change, Juneteenth.
It's a day about blackness. It's a day about freedom. It's also a day about talking about justice delayed. And we are not in the business of justice being denied to us. So stick around. And we're going to talk all about the case for reparations.
The push for reparations is not just an economic project. It's a moral project. So if we want to live up to the ideals of this foundation, then reparations has to be something that we pursue.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking faith, family, and fatherhood, from rebellion to rebuilding. Each of us has different things in our toolkit that we need to look at to determine how to establish a way forward. I know going forward is not easy, and most of you, like some people, don't like change. But as we talk about it, we grow together, we love together, we live together, and we laugh together. It gives us an opportunity to discover how to set the pace for what comes next for a healthy, happy, and whole life.
There has to be consistency in their lives that show that you care, for them to know that you're listening, and then that builds trust. And then once you build the trust, they'll begin to open up because you have become their safe place that they have been seeking.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Dexter Jenkins is a faith-based financial mentor with more than 20 years in the financial services industry. He's passionate about helping families build generational wealth.
Even though I'm talking about things like prayer, I'm talking about things about reading the word, I'm talking about things like fellowship, I'm talking to members who are dealing with losing their houses, or I'm talking to members who, because of a lack of the handling their finances, they're working 2 and 3 jobs. And so what I'm finding is that they're not coming to church because they don't have a handle on their finances.
We're talking how to get wealthy through faith and our finances on the next Get Wealthy, right here, only on Black Star Network.
We're back, bigger and stronger than ever. Season 2 is reloading May 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
What's up?
Being a black man, we gotta stop letting this slide. With new hosts.
Let me tell you what damn time it is.
And big celebrity surprises.
Kiss my behind. It's Oprah Winfrey.
Subscribe today at Truth Talks Live.
Give black people what they need, and we'll show them for you.
And don't miss out on all the upcoming viral moments.
Simulcasting weeknights at 8 p.m. on Roland Martin Unfiltered and Black Star Network and Truth Talks Live. I'll see you there.
On the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hey, folks, welcome back. We are a special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered here at the Virginia Democratic Party Blue Commonwealth Gala. Of course, it is over. They were, of course, electrified by Governor Wes Moore, the other speakers. Getting ready, of course, for the fall election. Primary season is over. As I've been trying to tell y'all, folks are looking at Virginia to give a real good assessment of where Democratic voters are. This is one of those states where Democrats control the House, they control the Senate, but you got a MAGA governor in Glenn Youngkin. And so it's going to be a real test of where voters are. What do they care about? What are the issues they care about? The person standing next to me, his job is to put the Democratic Party over the top. He is the state party chair. Lamont Bagby joins us right now. This dinner here, obviously, it's a fundraiser. Yeah. But also, it's a pep rally, if you will, for your party.
Oh, yeah. The energy was electrifying. I'm so thrilled by what happened here tonight. And it's not just about the money we raised. We raised a record amount of money. And me being chair for less than 6 months, I was a little nervous. But, man, we got an awesome ticket with Abigail Spanberger, Ghazala Hashmi, Jay Jones, and my good friend and your good friend, Don Scott. And just to have Wes Moore come here and lay it down and make it real plain for everybody to make sure that everybody knows that everyone is watching Virginia. It's not just everybody in Virginia. It's not everybody in the country. Everyone in the world is watching to see how Virginia pushed back and what is the temperature.
It is a unique state in that it's part of the DMV. Significant federal workers, federal contractors. They have been adversely impacted by the shenanigans of Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That's going to be a huge issue. That has been a hard hit on the economy of Virginia. And so I take it it's going to be, you think it's going to be a little hard for Winsome Sears, Lieutenant Governor, and all these Republicans to be joined at the hip of Donald Trump when it's a bunch of folks who've been adversely impacted by his policies who aren't Democrat, who might be saying, I don't know if that's the kind of person I want to leave Virginia.
And we're seeing wilder things happen. But this is a state where we have an opportunity to illustrate it as a purple state. A lot of times people think that we've gone blue, but it's a purple state. That's why we have a governor that's a Republican. And he tried to run away from Trump at the beginning, but there's no such thing as a Republican running away from Trump.
Right.
You got to come into the House. You got to come into the fold.
And you got to kiss the ring.
Yeah, and the same thing with Winsome Earl Sears. She tried to separate herself from them. But that's why it was good to have Wes Moore come from outside of the state and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing, the same thing that you're seeing. And we're going to make sure that we stay focused on our agenda. I was the chair of the Black Caucus before I became chair of the party. And that's what we were focused on. We were focused on our agenda. We're not focused on relationships, whether it's black or white, or Democrat or Republican. We know what the issues are, and that's what we're going to stay focused on.
A lot of Democrats are still in shock with what happened in November. There's been a whole bunch of soul searching, what needs to be done. And you now are in a position to be able to say all of the things that African Americans have been saying need to be done can happen. What are you saying to all of your candidates, Spanberger on down? Look, this state is 20% African American. You have to touch them, reach them. You can't assume they're going to vote for Democrats. And so, what is your strategy to campaign differently than how traditionally Democrats have run?
Now I'll tell you this. We have a strategy. I will tell you, because you're going to be a part of it, hopefully, I will tell you without the cameras on, because I don't want them to see us coming.
I got you.
But what we see here, and just the fact that you're here today, I mean, we never had this before. We never had somebody of your stature come in and cover this before. But that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that black Americans, black Virginians know that we're ready to speak to them. And listen, we have Louise Lucas on the finance, Luke Torrin on the finance, Don Scott, our speaker. If we get Jay Jones as Attorney General, we have so much representation. And it's just not black folks that are just signing their name and saying I'm black. These are folks that care about the issues and have been fighting for these issues for year after year and are hungry to finally deliver. And that's what I'm encouraged about. I've been working with these folks for a long time, and we're finally going to be able to deliver once we elect Abigail, Hashmi, and Jay Jones.
Last question. If you do win the governor's mansion and retain the House and the Senate, it'll be something that you don't have a lot of in the country. Democrats having a trifecta in a state.
Yeah.
We saw what happened in Minnesota when that happened, the kind of legislation that was passed. We saw what happened in Michigan when that happened as well.
Yeah.
And so, look, when Republicans win, they do what they do.
Yeah.
And so, to me, and I've always said this, if you're going to get the power, damn it, exercise the power.
And Roland, you remember back in 2019, we won the majority. And in 2020 and 2021, during the legislature, we had the majority, and we had the AG, the LG, and the governor. We dropped the ball on some of that. We got a lot done, but we dropped the ball on this. But that's what I keep telling people. I want that old thing back, and once we get that old thing back, we know what to do with it, and we're not going to drop the ball.
When you
we
have
know how to be aggressive.
Yep.
And listen, I was voted the most progressive senator in Virginia Senate, but that's not what it's all about. It's about delivering for our people, and we have a real opportunity. We have the money to do it. We might have to address some things with Medicaid, but other than that, we have the money to do it. And we're going to do it on health care, on education, housing, you name it, we're going to claim it.
Well, Lamont, we appreciate it. You can get some rest tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow is Sunday. The Lord said rest, but it's to work on Monday.
Yeah. Thanks, Roland.
I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Working with you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
I know.
Folks, Senator Mark Warner had to leave because he's the vice chair of the Intelligence Committee. Of course, I told you that the United States bombers have bombed Iran. There are 3 nuclear locations. And so that's why we didn't catch up with him. But trust me, we'll chat with him. But also Attorney General candidate Jay Jones as well. We'll be sure to get him as well. So, folks, that is it for us. It's been a great night. Lots of great conversation. We're going to, of course, be rebroadcasting this, restreaming this as well. And I'm going to tell you again, I'm going to close it out with this here. You cannot keep asking for something if you don't actually register and vote. I need black people to use our power. After the Civil War ended, black people ran for office in southern states. They put bills in place. They passed also legislation because they understood the impact of power. So we must use our power and maximize our power. And I want to see a minimum of 70% black participation. I don't want to see 48, 52, 39. If eligible black voters in states, in counties, congressional districts, precincts, if we hit a minimum 70%, we can sweep elections statewide, but we got to do it. Folks, that's it. I will see you guys Monday on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Thank you very much for watching us. Y'all have a great one. We'll see y'all later from Richmond, Virginia. Holla!